Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts represented. Like,
we got another person joining the call.
My most action RPGs. I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of games that are called RPGs have very little actual role playing. So,
yeah, it's like the current way that people describe RPGs. Call of Duty counts as an RPG by that really broad...
Yeah, that's my issue. Is there's a lot of what people call RPGs is just a game with some progression system in it, which is not actually role playing.
I thought
it shows your stats. Like that's not what an RPG is.
I thought I was going schizophrenic for a second because I was hearing Cyrus speak, and then I heard him again, and then I realized it was from the stream. That was weird.
Oh.
All right, guys. Well, let's get going. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 511. Turn-based RPGs are boring, and that's in double quotes because that's what the topic, or title rather, of the video is, but you'll see as we watch it what happens. We've covered this topic at least 3 times before on the Smudcast over the years, and in case you haven't noticed, we were talking before we started, and we were going to keep talking for another good 10 minutes before we got a word in. So, it's a big topic, and this is a short video, and everyone has their preferences, everyone has their favorite series, everyone has gameplay they put up with because they like the story, and vice versa. So, it's kind of what we're dealing with these days, whether you're on your phone or your Switch or your PC, you're going to be playing a game of a variety of gameplay experiences. I know I'm playing Wrath of the Righteous, the Pathfinder game, the second one. You could alternate between real-time and turn-based in the same battle engine. So there's a love of turn-based gaming for hardcore RPGers as well as hardcore old-school players. And then there's a love of real-time players who like more action-oriented gaming experiences. So there's something for everyone out there. Neither is superior in terms of preference, in terms of enjoyment. I would say one is more complicated to make and to balance and to experience than the other, and requires more hardware to perform. But other than that, it's just a way of interacting with the conflict in a certain style of a story. And there's all kinds, like this Jaya does this Jay or just Gaia? I don't remember how to pronounce it. I
don't know.
Yeah, it's like this very...
I say Disgaea. I don't know if that's actually right.
Yeah, it's a very cartoony but over the top sort of like there's so many numbers and levels on the screen that you're going into like 4 digits, 5 digits sometimes.
Isn't the level cap on that stuff like 999 or something?
Because the whole point of the game is finding different and interesting and unique ways to level up.
Yeah, so there's lots of variety and complexity to games with that style. And that was like number 5. I don't know what number it's at now. So there's all kinds of love for these styles of games. And the story is, this guy is pretty silly. It's a silly game. The story...
It doesn't take itself seriously at all. Yeah. It knows exactly what it is. But I think Disgaea is one of those where it's like, it pokes fun at a lot of the RPG tropes.
Oh, storytelling tropes as well. Even like Persona 5 doesn't take itself too seriously, even though it has lots of adult themes. So,
well, yeah, but like Persona 5, like it knows when to take itself seriously and when just to have fun with itself.
Right.
Like that's the Persona series in general. Like it knows, like the writers know when, like, there's points where you just have to point and laugh at what's going on, especially with anything with. Teddy and 4, like
Teddy's scene after they get out of Cheeto's boat, and we get the hilarious comedy bit of everyone beating up Ryuji. But
I just remembered something about Persona 5 actually. So here I was getting pissed off every day, waiting for that damn game to get ported to the Switch, just trying to avoid spoilers and all that shit. And one channel. Had like a video of Mike Tyson Punch Out, and I was just looking for one of the last episodes, and I accidentally spoiled myself on who the traitor was because this asshole had to put in an obvious thumbnail that made it look like this guy was a traitor, and turns out it was.
Man. Wow, if that was in any way a surprise, you're the kind of guy that was surprised that is a bad example. You were the guy that was taken aback by the Persona 4 reveal of who the actual murderer was.
Yeah, Persona
And then
4 actually was a good.
The Persona 4
Persona
reveal was a
game,
lot
though.
more subtle than the Persona 5 reveal.
I
They
wanted to-
practically scream at you who the traitor is.
Yeah, Persona 5 is not subtle in its who the villain is, whereas Persona 4 actually like it's like, oh, okay, that was well written, like a well written surprise on.
I have gotten the exact counter argument is that Persona 4 is meant to be, oh no, it's the characters are meant to be trying to find out who the murderer is. The player is not. You're just supposed to go, yeah, I already know who this is, because
whoever told you that is dumb, because it's not obvious unless you already know. Like, I figured it out, but it's not. It doesn't broadcast it to you the way that.
Fair point.
Well,
Yeah, like if you actually like with Persona 4, if you pay attention to like what's going on like extremely well, yes, you'll eventually figure it out. But that's because the game is giving you the info to figure it out yourself.
Yes,
and then
you
it
can
goes
connect the dots.
Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't just go, here's the villain.
Well,
here's the thing, though. I wouldn't have known if Goro Akechi would have been the main traitor if not for that damn thumbnail the dude did.
And now you have spoiled it for even more people.
I didn't pick up on.
Well, in regards to the topic, I do like the fact that Atlas made a game for the PC, which was a Dynasty Warrior style action game called Strikers, which still is Persona, but I didn't like the idea because I would have preferred a standard Persona game in real time, not necessarily this Dynasty Warriors-esque over-the-top combat, which I thought was a bit awkward. As bombastic as the attacks were and flashy, I thought that was too flashy. It was like, this is as far as you should go, and they went even further. So I would have liked to have seen a real-time, same game, same story, just with different, not over-the-top combat, as it were. So we can talk about that later. I'm sure we'll pop into that. But let's get on with the video.
Before we do that, I would like to bring up something you mentioned early on. That's that this is a big topic. I think that's kind of misleading and giving it specific this video too much props. The topic of RPGs suck is not a very big topic. RPGs as a genre, I'd say, is a pretty big topic.
Sure. Hopefully we're not going to get too far into that because that's a huge topic. But
it's only 7 minutes. We shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, so this is only
Hopefully.
this is only a 7.5 minute video. It won't take that long, but we're going to have so many stories to share. So let's just get some stats going. This came out 2 years ago. It's got about 60,000 views. And it has about, that's a big ratio, 1.2 thousand upvotes versus 824 downvotes.
Oof.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. Although, at least if it has that many views, I can kind of understand how somebody found it. Because I think the last time I was on the cast, we covered a video that had less than 100. So.
Oh, well, this guy only has like less than 400 subs. So he's pretty much a nobody. But these sorts of topics people latch onto like crazy.
Yeah.
I was
That sounds like kind of a clickbaity.
Maybe. Yeah.
I was suggesting a few videos that had like about 100 views, really because it was about a game I love, and I wanted to talk about it on a Smudcast one day.
Yeah,
Sure, that I can understand. I'm talking about like the video I covered last was like somebody's like a video they made for like a school project that had like 150 views or something.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was great, especially when she ended it by saying, "This is all headcanon."
Yeah.
And I'm like, then why?
Yeah, I can tell this is a school project. You put no effort into it.
Yeah, it's like doing a book report with like, well, I sort of read the book and then I invented my own story. It's like, what?
Yeah. And it was the same old. Which I remember predicting, and it was about Persona 4, so it's on topic. So there's my segue. Let's actually get started.
Okay.
My first question about this is this talking about JRPGs where you just attack, defend against, cast spell against the other group, or is this talking about top-down, actual turn-based games that are more like puzzles?
No.
Nightmare asked that too in chat. It's like, okay, what kind of turn-based? Are we talking Persona, 4X, XCOM? Like, are we talking Shadows of Forbidden Gods level 4X
When it says
turn-based?
when it says turn-based RPG, it is certainly not a 4X game.
Well, in relation to the YouTuber, he references Pokemon, so that's probably his base. So
That is the JRPG style of turn-based fighting.
it is a minimalized.
That is a completely different thing from games like
XCOM.
Dungeons and Dragons, Temple of Elemental Evil, and original Greyhawk Adventure.
Oh god, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, apologies, Chaos. I am laughing because the idea of mentioning Pokemon was having an image of Persona and fucking Final Fantasy. Oh, that's a leap and a half.
The thumbnail is Joker and Cloud. So we apparently have Pokemon, Persona, and Final Fantasy.
I mean,
And
Pokemon.
I would like to note that Final Fantasy VII is not a turn-based game. It's a weird Frankenstein hybrid of turn-based and real-time, and it sucks.
Well,
it forces you into action. It tries to put pressure on you that way.
Well, I mean, Pokemon and Final Fantasy 7 and 6 by extension. Well, yeah, they're not the typical turn-based RPGs, but they're still turn-based RPGs. You just have different factors on.
Pokemon is definitely turn-based. Final Fantasy VII is not.
Yeah, it is though. You still
No,
take
it's not.
turns.
It's weird Frankenstein hybrid of turn-based and real-time, and it's terrible.
No,
All right, maybe it's...
turn is determined in real time, but the main actions are still turn-based.
Maybe
Except
we should
if
get
you
into the
don't
video.
actually act when your bar fills, the enemy will act because it's not turn-based.
Well, I mean, wouldn't the other bars fill as well while you still are choosing your moves or whatever?
No.
Yes.
Well, it is a hybrid. It's called Active Time Battle, and I think Squaresoft used that throughout most of its games until they hit 10, and then they did their own turn-based thing with that. So they've done a lot of different game engines, and it's not for everyone. They experiment like any game company that's big enough to do so, and they find a balance. But either way, we'll get into that later. Let's see what he has to say. That's a really bad name for a YouTube channel, but
that's a very over-the-top
Also very
intro for such a
loud.
bad name.
Yeah, I always say this is one of the things I used to say back in the day. It's never just a game. Gamers take their games pretty seriously. So
yeah, tell that. I mean, tell that to a chess player.
yeah, it's a game of memory and
I
war.
saw a video about a guy playing Team Fortress 2 and him basically pitching a bitch fit at his team for not doing their job. And one people's like, it's just a game, and the person was like, no, only losers say that. And it was just like, yeah.
Well, if you can't take your game seriously, you will likely not excel at it. Then it is just a casual pastime in order to kill time, not to actually do something.
Yeah.
And oh god, there are EVE Online stories out there of Russians shutting down the electrical grid of certain areas of Russia just to cut down that one village where that one fleet admiral lives, so that he can't be around when they want to raid the other faction.
Didn't some guy steal $100,000 ship at one point?
That's nothing special.
That is just another day in Eve.
I'm just reminded of a meme where I saw some people was getting harassed by Chinese gamers or something. So they typed in some kind of I don't know, location time or something, and then they're
Tiananmen Square 19.
I suggest you pick up a history book to know what that time and place means.
This time and place where absolutely nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Also, can I just point out that it's just a game? Shouldn't it be it is just a game?
Yes, there should be an apostrophe there.
He hired someone on Fiverr from another country and they didn't know contractions.
I have it on. I don't know why it's on such low resolution on my end that I didn't see that, but yeah, there should
You
be
hide an Indian to the sign as logo.
Damn.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, let's keep going.
The RPG genre has helped mold the video game industry to what it is today. In modern day gaming, the majority of the best reviewed games borrow many elements from old and new RPG systems. Just stop and think about it. How many games have you played where they had skill trees, magical systems, and I'll even go far and say character customization? All
that has nothing to do.
Have some type of influence from the RPG genre. Action RPGs are by far one of the most popular and most beloved subgenre of the RPGs.
That is rather.
I don't know if I would call Soulsborne's action RPGs. I mean, I guess if you want to be really reductive, sure, but there's a lot of nuance that goes into a Soulsborne that kind of elevates it beyond just being an action RPG.
Yeah, there's the survival horror element. That is like, oh my god, I just died.
To these people, everything that has stats of strength, dexterity, whatever, and a skill tree is an RPG. Everything that has a level system to these people is an RPG, even though there is absolutely no character in there.
Yeah, I will give him this. He did say that those are elements from the genre that are borrowed by newer games.
Yeah, and we've seen this even in the 90s with games saying, oh, I'm going to have a progression system. I'm going to have a skill system. I'm going to have a whatever system.
Yeah.
My main issue with JRPGs, with the term, not with JRPGs as they are, is that you're not playing a role. You are following the predefined story of a character, and you are almost never making a choice that has any effect on the world, that you have control, that you actually have control over.
Yeah, I've maintained the same thing in past in videos we've covered, that like I've said that, like I remember once we covered something about Persona 4. I think it was an extra credits video where they said it was one of the only role-playing games in recent memory with actual role-playing, and I remember saying that there's actually very little role-playing in Persona 4.
There are.
I rather call those adventures of some kind.
Well, there are maybe one or two endings. There's a few options in dialogue you can make that you don't have to. There's the whole romance stuff, all the social links. So they all work together. All the systems work fine together.
Yeah, and what I mean is these games are, because I've heard people refer to Legend of Zelda games as RPGs. They are not. They are action adventures.
No. Yeah. Which is another
these JRPG,
vague...
these so-called JRPGs are technically also just action adventures, although that most of them switch the action part out with some sort of turn-based mechanic. Xenoblade, for example, does I'd say well done mix of it, of this very hard to pull off mix of genre in regards to combat mechanics.
I have to say that your earlier definition of an RPG was in terms of your decisions need to have an effect on the world. I don't see how that reflects RPG. Because
the term RPG role-playing game originates from tabletops, where you create a character with a backstory, with actions that the character acts a certain way that you decide. It's not just that in JRPGs you have predefined characters that have a backstory, that already have a character. They will act in predefined ways in conversations and so on.
And by that definition, Dungeons and Dragons is not an RPG.
Your characters in D&D will absolutely have an effect on the world.
Explain to me how Dungeons and Dragons is not an RPG.
Alright, so by your definition that these JRPGs have a predefined character, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and they have a predefined way to speak. Is that what you consider a RPG. Is that you make a character where you can make up your own personality for that character.
Yeah, pros, different and the video games, the Western ones, the Baldur's Gate, the old Baldur's Gate games, for example, or Planescape Torment, they offer you, they offer you predefined paths, but they all go completely different ways and have different attitudes associated with them. So you can play into those. You can actually do reflect something with your created character. And even Planescape Torment, which technically has a character that has a backstory that is already predefined and that you cannot alter yourself, you can still play what character he develops.
That is... Oh, go on.
Mm-hmm. And that is just anything else is just storytelling with stats.
That was where I was going with this, is that when you mentioned that your choices need to have an impact on the world, that is very vague, because even within the framework of D&D, it is not obligatory for your DM to...
No, what I mean with choices on the world is that nothing in JRPGs, in general, with very, very, very few exceptions, it changes anything. And with that, I mean, I don't just mean some mountain comes apart or something, but just storyline decisions.
Okay, so guys, we can argue about what's the definition of RPGs. I've been doing this since high school. To us in general, it's the customization and allowance for the player to choose the kind of responses to dialogue. So there's branching paths in dialogue, as well as to influence the storyline to go this way or that way. That's the basic stuff. So we have choices between character and choices between story.
I will say with JRPGs, especially with they tend to, when they say role, they tend to mean like the tank, DPS, healer. It tends to they will have that mechanic in them rather than make your own character role playing.
You could translate that to gameplay roles, and that's what tanking.
Yes, it's far more the gameplay role as opposed to the character.
So there's character roles, there's gameplay roles, and there's storytelling options.
Yes, because they will generally have very
stat mechanics beneath, but that's it.
Yeah, so you look at KOTOR or Deus Ex, like those kinds of games. They have a certain story for your main character. Some of them are voice acted, but you can customize how he develops, and you could choose how the story goes. Not so much in the second Deus Ex, but the first one, the Human Revolution, rather.
What do you mean second Deus Ex?
Mankind Divided, where there's not too many branching paths at all.
Are you trying to tell me there were ever more Deus Ex games made?
Yeah.
There were
probably.
Yes, there were 4
Deus
Ex games.
No,
next you're going to tell me that there was a mobile Deus Ex game.
There was Deus Ex, and then there were 2 that came out later on in like 2014 or whatever year it was.
Silence, heretic. Invisible War existed, and it was okay.
All of this shit is just going above my head right now.
Anyway.
It's okay, youngling. You will come to learn one day.
Anyway, we're not
Deus Ex.
I'm just an Eastern RPG fan.
Deus Ex, the original, is a classic for good and ill. It's very good, but it's also got some serious balancing issues. Do not try to use your stun gun ever in the original Deus Ex.
RPG that isn't completely
balancing is just you've never played the multiplayer.
All right. Anyway, we're not going to have another definition.
2 things
RPG.
can have balancing issues.
RPGs are notorious for balancing issues.
All right. Let's continue, guys.
I know, that's why I just said it's a classic in every respect, because it has classic balancing issues.
This stream is incapable of sarcasm and sarcasm detection.
RPG that pushes
let's go.
Wisp, your voice never changes. How am I supposed to tell?
I'm just imitating you today.
Right items to boost your chances of winning.
That's fair.
However, there's another subgenre that doesn't really.
Is anyone not hearing any sound from the video?
I'm hearing it. It's just very quiet.
Turn-based RPG.
All right,
That's
so
great.
I had to put my phone up next to my ear.
I have not understood a single word he just said. We have to
that
play
was
that again.
very, very quiet.
Yeah,
why is his logo? His intro is like so
'Cause I'm-
loud, and then it's like
I'm
wow,
literally.
when
I
we're
had to step away for a
talking
few
about
minutes, so I didn't see the
RPG.
very beginning of the video. But like, I've got headphones on, and I heard nothing. I only heard you guys talking. I heard nothing of the
It's
video.
like
Yeah,
the,
we will replay this part and all be quiet.
All right.
okay. It's like the intro's like this.
Quiet.
Fucking high! And then, it's like the intro's like fucking high!
Quiet.
And then afterwards, you get like this timid voice from like the anime. It's like,
Thank
"Hi,
you,
it's
Steven Universe Avatar, shut up.
All right. Let's continue.
and force you to sometimes hit enemies at the right opening, and maybe even use some of the right items to boost your chances of winning. However, there's another subgenre that doesn't really seem to get that much of praise: the turn-based RPG. And
doesn't seem to get that much praise. Wait,
I mean, considering
is
one
this
of
guy
the most,
defending turn-based RPGs?
He's getting there.
I think he didn't really.
that what
script
he's
this
gonna
out,
do
and
here?
he doesn't know that his background music is too loud.
It's an about face.
it's also just I mean, because I
Also, turn-based RPGs get a lot of praise.
Yeah.
yeah, considering one of the most popular games in the world is a turn-based RPG. Pokemon.
Let's see. Well, I was about to say, I was thinking Legend of Zelda as well, because that's somewhat turn-based.
No,
Well,
it's not. No, it's not.
Oh god, so this,
Pokemon is literally one of the most popular games in the world, and it is baby's first RPG.
Yes,
this is
It-
where
it's
you
literally
learn-
that's why it's so simple.
Okay,
Yes,
to be
and that's
fair,
that's not a bad thing. I'm saying that as a praise, that it teaches kids basic RPG functions and tropes that they can then use to learn how to play other games.
I
Well,
believe
to be
Pokemon was my gateway into the turn-based RPG genre
Same here.
when I
Yeah,
was
that's why-
a wee lad.
Really?
I'm not going to date myself.
Mine
but-
was Dragon Warrior, the first one.
Mine was.
I'll date myself.
I think Lufia,
Goofy.
the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never played it, but I have
Beautiful stories, and
heard.
honestly, the only such game that had actual puzzles in the dungeon, really good puzzles and tons of them. Get your Super Nintendo emulator, play Lufia. It is a beautiful thing.
Okay.
What
And the ending will
emulator?
make-
Are you advocating that people do something other than buy games?
Well, if
Don't-
Nintendo hasn't put it on its online service by now, and you can't get a cartridge anymore that functions, do it that way.
Don't pirate your games, kids. Don't.
I don't think any kids are
pirate your
watching.
games.
well, I do want to mention something about Pokemon. I wouldn't say
As long as Nintendo isn't putting it up, it's abandonware.
I wouldn't say that Pokemon's like the most notorious RPG. To be fair, it's probably popular because of the anime and
It's
other
literally
versions.
the biggest game series in the world.
You realize that it's not just a game series. It's an anime card
Yes,
game
but it's
series.
also the biggest game series in the world.
It
Like,
doesn't. The anime, the card series doesn't matter. The games came first. The games are what are where Pokemon started.
It's more
Pokemon,
of a
it is-
multimedia
it's not even
series.
there. It's like it's just flat
Now-
out
Okay,
alone.
but
Think of it.
absent the anime, it is the biggest game series in the world.
I'm saying
We are
that
not
if
talking about franchise and merchandise. That is irrelevant. We're talking solely about games here.
And I
Oh, this
specifically
is gonna
said
be very
it is
long.
the,
7
it is
minutes.
the biggest RPG game in the world.
It's okay.
I'm just simply saying that some of the sales could be because of the anime and other stuff like that.
God.
Possibly. Somebody in the chat said Yokai Watch is better than Pokemon, which is a spicy take. And
To
if
be
I had
fair-
played more
to
than
be
10
fair.
minutes of Yokai Watch, I might
Yes,
have
yes.
a stronger opinion.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. Has anyone in the West actually played Yokai Watch for more than 5 minutes?
Enough
Yeah,
people
I
played
actually
Yokai
have played
Watch that it
Yokai Watch
influenced
also.
future Pokemon games.
In Japan, yes. The more people in Japan played it enough that
It gave us the
Yes.
Rotom Dex, which was a terrible feature.
I mean,
by the
to
way,
be fair, like the Final Fantasy 14 devs love Yokai Watch so much they had 3 separate instances of a Yokai Watch event happen in game.
Wait,
Well, it's
seriously?
like
Hey,
Yokai Watch.
remember
I
the
am not-
Cup
I am
Noodles
not kidding.
crossover in Final Fantasy 15?
Yokai Watch is better than Pokemon. Excellent point. Counterpoint. What the fuck is a yokai? And why do you have a
Yokai
watch?
are Japanese demons, essentially.
What is it?
Basically,
It is a
what
Japanese
Pokemon are.
demon. And it's
Alright.
called Yokai Watch because you wear a watch that captures yokai.
And lets you see them.
Hey,
A lot
Mom,
of-
Dad, I captured a demon!
A lot of
It
Also,
Pokemon are
is
based
the
on
Demi-
exact
kids.
same idea.
Has
as
anyone ever
Pocket
played
Monsters.
Demi Kids?
Anyway, guys, let's continue with
Demi
the video.
Kids is great.
Look, the
By the
relevant
way.
part, the one relevant thing to say about Pokemon with being kids' first JRPG is that it has deliberate limitations in its movesets. You have 4 moves per Pokemon, which limits what you do with it and forces you into decision making. And it makes the fights relatively simple because you only have 4 choices with your Pokemon, or switch it out. And that is that limitation is what makes it so great and accessible.
plus the just the amount of party members that are available for you to choose from gives it's simple, but it lets any kid play the way they want, even though it's so simple.
Accessibility. is probably the most
It's also more complex than the party limitation and building is more complex than a lot of other games where they're just like, by the way, here's like 25 characters, you can use 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's technically there's no bad Pokemon. It's
That is
literally
not true.
Okay.
no.
There are a lot
even-
of really terrible Pokemon.
All right, I think
No, no, no,
we reached the
no, no,
point
no,
where
no,
we're
no, no,
arguing which Pokemon is
To
bad.
play
I think
through
it's
the
time to play the video.
game, it's honestly irrelevant. You just need
Yeah,
to
and
grind.
even if Pokemon stat-wise aren't the best, movesets can be abused to do some really stupid things, even
right.
with the
Okay.
worst Pokemon.
All right. Let's
Okay,
continue.
I do want
That's
to
the difference between the low tier kids accessibility part and the high tier actually competitive min-maxing nonsense.
Yep.
Those are always two completely different things.
Okay, we're striving too far from the video. Let's keep going. Here is Great Scott. Thank you, sir. The title is too big of a blanket statement to make. If we're looking at recent examples, I couldn't really get into Pillars of Eternity, but I could get into Tyranny, Pathfinder, and Disco Elysium. And it mainly comes down to the writing with turn-based RPGs. And if you don't know those games, the Tyranny, as it's I think was done by In Exile as well.
Tyranny was Obsidian.
Obsidian? Okay.
Tyranny was a pretty good first half of a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an excellent example.
If you've
of,
ever played it, has anyone here in the call ever played Tyranny?
Oh yeah.
yes,
It is a
It's
good
in the library.
first half of a game.
I'd say it's a perfect example of
And that's probably
Wisp's
my-
statement of JRPGs don't matter in terms of your choices. Tyranny, none of your choices matter. None of them.
Beautiful.
All right.
And
Pathfinder, there's 2, and Disco Elysium is that weird detective adventure game with sort of like weird mental states. I don't know what to call them else, but
You can die by a chair. It's the greatest game ever made.
it's something.
I own Disco Elysium. I bought it for about $4, but I haven't played it yet. It's just sitting there in the backlog because I'm too busy with other things, like Dark Souls.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
to go back on a good first half on a game, though, that would probably sum up my thoughts on another turn-based RPG by technicality, which is Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Fire Emblem is not an RPG series. It is
Seize.
a tactical strategy series.
You still take
Turn-based
turns, though.
tactics, not an RPG, okay?
It has It has the stats.
Character growth is not an RPG make, okay?
You know, aging
Having
is technically character
stats does
growth.
not make you an RPG. There is no role-playing in Fire Emblem.
the whole question of is a dating sim an RPG is for another stream.
Oh boy.
All right.
Anyway.
Oh, that's modern Fire Emblem anyway.
No, because to be
I
a
think
dating
turn-based
sim, there has to
RPGs
be there's no game. Most dating sims are
However, this
functionally
genre
visual
doesn't really
novels.
seem to get
Wait.
that much of praise. The turn-based RPG, and I'll just get straight to.
So my question is, why is he talking about or negatively talking about turn-based RPGs that didn't get much love or something or undervalued?
I would.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
when he's
wondering.
showing
like-
us Final Fantasy VII, the remake, which is originally quite turn-based.
Oh, it's not.
Anyway,
what-
we're gonna keep.
Let's
watching the
actually
video.
hear him
I'm
out.
just confused.
Let's keep going.
And I'll just get straight to the point. I think turn-based RPGs suck.
Well, that's
what I
like your
would've said
opinion,
A
man.
while ago. Heck, I would even said that a couple.
Ah,
weeks
my favorite
Just like
turn-based
most games
RPG,
out there, genres
Dragon
felt
Ball
outdated.
Fighters.
And with so many action-based RPGs resonating with me, I just always felt like
Okay.
the turn-based genre was just a huge step backward. Now, as you could probably tell from what I said earlier, I don't.
Okay, so this guy talks about turn-based RPGs not getting much love in general, as he claims, and then he talks about how he dislikes them in a
Yeah.
subjective manner. He personally.
No.
And
So
that
this
depends
isn't-
how the whole world thinks about them.
No.
Are you retarded?
No. You didn't hear him because everyone
Oh.
was talking over him. He actually says, "I used to think that way." He's defending them.
He used to think that just a few.
Well, then maybe he should
months-
improve the sound mixing on his video. Can we skip
Yeah.
back a bit?
Legit, I was just about to pull up the video on my laptop because it's so freaking quiet.
Yeah.
You use headphones. So turn the background music down, turn the speech up, and speak slower and more clearly, and less like you are constantly chewing on your tongue.
Anyway, let's listen to the first 10 seconds.
Okay.
of-
Apparently that was Dragon Ball Kakarot. Guys, I don't really care, okay?
Okay. Anyway, let's hear it one more time. I know it's hard, but let's try it again.
That's what I would have said a while ago. Heck, I would have even said that
okay.
a couple weeks ago. Just like many gamers out there, the genre just felt outdated. And with so many action-based RPGs resonating with me, I just always felt like the turn-based genre was just a huge step backward. Now,
Captain Projection.
as you could probably tell
Well-
from what I said earlier, I don't have this mindset anymore, but I completely understand why people feel like this. I think the many reasons why gamers don't like this genre stems from the slow, tedious battles that require moments of planning, strategizing just to complete. Some of these games have simple dungeon monsters that take just as much planning as the actual bosses. But it's really
Well, that's a good thing, first of all.
Yes,
That's
it's,
what
it's
you
made,
talking
That's what we
about?
call in the biz. We call that challenge,
and
and
also
it's something
You're
it's,
you
supposed
want
to
in your
thinking.
game.
yeah, considering it's
Then
a
we call that
byproduct
thinking
of,
and not just reacting as you do in action games.
it's
When
a
I play
byproduct of-
Bayonetta, I am not thinking, I am reacting. It's going from the eyes to the motor cortex, to the spine, to the fingers. There is no large brain involved, because if there is, the reactions are too slow to survive or hit anything. That's action games. If you want to play these games, you need to use your large brain, you know? The thing that hurts when you use it.
All right. Here is JJJ Madness. Thanks for the 5. You guys will kill each other at the end of this stream. Well, maybe some.
By the end of the stream? Nah, halfway through the stream. Yeah.
We'll find out. Either way.
Hold up, let me get my baseball bat.
Okay. Well, either way, he likes them. But he did not like them prior to making this video, and he admits to that because there's so much other games that are real time that take his attention. But he admits that they are good
That's
games. out
okay.
there. Yeah, that's fine.
So
This-
what happened? Did his large brain switch on and suddenly he appreciates thought?
I don't know. Maybe we can give him a chance to explain.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering because Mega Man Battle Network is also not turn-based,
no, it's
even a
it's-
little bit.
It's action. It's fully action based.
It's grid-based, but it's not turn-based.
Well, you
Yeah.
still have to select your shifts and all that for your turns.
No,
I'm
That's
just going to
just-
assume that he is
it's just choosing your
grid-phobic.
skills.
I'm just assuming he's going to be grid-phobic. You say,
I
oh yeah,
mean,
if it's
that-
on a grid, that
Like,
means it's an
this
RPG.
just- choosing your skills, that's by definition what a turn-based RPG does. You just cast fire.
No, it's not.
No.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, let's not get into another definition of what turn-based and real-time RPGs are, because we've already sort of...
That's what this is.
By your definition, then World of Warcraft would be turn-based because you have a cooldown on your skill.
That's what this entire stream is going to be, is arguing about definition, because it's going to be a lot more tangible than RPGs suck or it's boring or whatever.
Here's the thing, though. In comparison to World of Warcraft, in Mega Man Battle Network, you still have to, like, the entire thing is paused while you're still choosing your chips and all that. Unlike in World of Warcraft, where everything keeps going while your thing's on cooldown.
Okay, and then when you pick your cards, do you take turns attacking each other?
No, it's more of a hybrid. That's what I tried to say. It has turn-based RPG elements.
See, this is the ongoing problem with video games as a whole, because they all borrow ideas from each other, that they have flavors of a turn-based game like Pokemon or a real-time with pause example. And it's like, oh, this is an action RPG. It's like, well, no, it's just an isometric game with a pause mechanic that allows you to queue up.
Like American football.
Okay, so time out here. I see in the chat somebody said, would you consider XCOM not turn-based because it's on a grid? No. I said Battle Network is not turn-based because it's in real time. XCOM is turn-based because you take turns. It's also not an RPG. It's a tactics game.
Right.
It's actually a strategy game because there's a lot. It's both.
Right.
But
in that regard, they use a phase turn. So everyone on one side does their turn, and then everyone on the other side does their turn. Whereas other tactical games have a speed stat, and the one with the faster speed goes first, and the second one goes next. So I haven't seen a game that does phases completely, where everyone on one side makes a move and everyone on the other side makes a move, and then there's like the action phase. They all just slam together. I haven't seen that. So there's other ways to do turns. There's other ways to do real time. We just haven't seen the proliferation of those two combined. All I've seen is things like Pathfinder, where they give you the option, or with Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, where they give you the option of playing real time with pause or turn based.
There's lots of the JRPG games that I played in the olden days. They had the initiative stat, which was how actions played out, in what order, your characters, the enemy characters. So it was a mix-up of who acted. Character 1, monster 1, character 2, character 3, monster 2. But you would input all of your actions first, and then the whole turn would play out. So it could actually mess itself up.
Right.
Yeah, Digimon Cyber Sleuth has that, where it'll show you the turn order of like who's going next, but then you still can choose each of your Digimons, like your group of 3, and then it would just swap between whichever Digimon yours or the opponents have a higher speed stat.
Right. And I've seen mechanics, especially in Final Fantasy Tactics, like the calculator class, where you can just screw up all the systems, like the height.
It would be in Tactics. That would be the Astrologian, I think.
The original Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics. It was either called the mathematician or the calculator. I can't recall. Not the remix.
It's probably mathematician, because I could have sworn Astrologian was in the original.
Astrologer was, but that was like a class for one unit who was a story-based unit. The guy who's chronicling everything. But that was where it's like, okay, now we're just playing around with numbers, and it's just affect everyone on level 5 with a heal spell, and you're like, boom, you're like, okay, like that's kind of the weird stuff you can do. So that's where it sort of loses me with the world. I've always felt lost with turn-based games like that, because you're playing chess suddenly with people, and they all adhere to this, okay, you do your thing, I do my thing sort of deal. But that's the nature of the game. That's why you play. It's fun. So
I wouldn't say it's playing chess with people, because you only move one person in chess instead of like in Fire Emblem or whatever,
or XCOM. I don't know much about XCOM, where you move all your units in one turn than your opponent does.
Based off the speed stat or however they set it up, like XCOM does phases, yeah. So it just feels like you're on a chessboard. And other games have like octagon grids or hexagons or what have you. So it's fine. You know, you're just used to it. It allows you to slow down and strategize and plan things out, play with time. I think that's why Fire Emblem is so accessible to people. It slows stuff down. It's war, but you have like 20 units on the field, and you could like, okay, pull back, go this way, heal up. So that's good. It allows people to get into the game, even though I would prefer an RTS because of those number of units.
It's another one of those. It's another thing. Another one of those cases where Nintendo does a very good job of doing like here's a first tactical RPG, and then that can get you into that style of gameplay because it's a very basic version of that,
which sold itself on the Persona series of gameplay style with the whole waifu husbando element. So there's lots of reasons to play that game and attract people, and I think the voice acting really put it up a notch there to sell. And I hope they keep doing that because it's a fantastic game. Anyway, let's keep going.
Strange to see a sudden shift in opinion because there was a time where most of these games were all people crave.
Okay. Audio mixing, buddy.
Yeah,
seriously.
Sound mixing, pal.
Oh dear God.
To go on to speak on his actual point, there is some value or some validity to what he said so far. There was a time where RPGs were the big craze, but every video game brand or what genre has that high. Like your average action gray shooter at its high in like the early 2000s, and then a hero shooter in the midst of 2013 up till 2018, after which it was the Battle Royale craze. Like all these genres have their highs, just like movie crazes. That doesn't invalidate them as properties.
Yeah. Don't forget the survival genre. Like that's still a thing going on.
Yeah, and it's
all of these are still things.
Unfortunately,
and it's attributable to mobile devices or game consoles that did not have the capacity to play those styles of games that are real time. So you had to do something simple.
Yeah, like RPGs are great for
storytelling that are popular for a while.
Like I still say that RPGs are great for any sort of handheld system because they're a game. It's just the way the game functions. It's very easy to pick up and take with you, and not just have to sit in one place for very long.
I'll go on and say
I mean that's the thing about.
Go.
The thing about a lot of games is limitation tends to breed creativity.
Yes,
you get entire genres because people could only do certain things with the hardware they had. Or, I mean, you want an even smaller example. A lot of the little touches in Fallout New Vegas happened because of engine and hardware limits, and like they could only record certain numbers of lines for the DLCs, so you get creative workarounds to that, and it just so that is a lot of old hardware couldn't handle real-time combat, at least not to the extent that you would want it, so you made everyone take turns.
All right.
And it worked.
From a programmer's perspective, or from the computer's perspective, everything is turns, because every new iteration of the world is generated anew. It's very, very reduced explanation, but to the computer, it makes no difference whether it's a turn-based game to you or an action-packed frame-by-frame game, because for the computer, the easiest way to maybe understand is that for people who love fighting games, every frame is a turn. They're basically playing. They're playing so fast that they are playing turn-based in a way.
Okay, let's keep going. Here's
I do want to say one thing real quick. If the person watching this video is watching right now, get Lightworks for the love of God, please. I mean, it just doesn't take me like 10 minutes to edit my audio when I do my videos, and my audio is usually fine. Get Lightworks, please. It's free. You can use it. You know, don't have your videos be like, hi, have a timid anime girl type voice volume. You know, be a little bit more louder with your volume here.
Yeah.
You can level your own voice too, please,
Yeah,
to keep it on one level. That would be nice.
the technical term is, I think, normalization of the whole track, but that has its own problems. Either way.
The few videos I've done, like few little like just dumb things I've edited myself. Like I just use what's it called, FX Hit Film Express, and that has a normalization like built into the audio. Like it's a hard like it tries to auto normalize for you, and then you can just move a slider up and down in the audio track. It doesn't take much. It's just people who don't realize that this is a fact. Like audio is still a very important fact of anything you do.
Right.
I mean, it's still not that hard to just raise your volume when you do your video like I do it. I just manually raise the volume until it's a decent, acceptable level where I can hear my own voice and not sound like I can barely say anything in the video.
Well, it was impressive he did get his own intro, so either someone did that for him or he just learned how to do design. But either way, we could talk about his video editing skills later. Let's get on with the video. Here's Zeranax. Thank you for the 5. Smud, admit you missed the BSN. I remember you being in the middle of defining what was or wasn't an RPG, lol. I miss some people from the BSN, and some of them migrated to YouTube back in the day, but no, I don't really miss the BSN. It was pretty bad. It got worse as the moderators were pretty much the Gestapo, just blocking through. They permanently banned me twice. I don't know how that happened, but
twice.
Yeah, I came back. So it was a mess, and there were better forums at the time, or more friendly forums, because people were making counter forums because they were so dumb there. But by that time, I'd already left to YouTube, and some people came with me. That was good. So, but no, yeah, those discussions were fun, talking about RPGs. What was the elements that make an RPG? Because that was like, I'd say 10 years from high school that I was happily making these same arguments with people and all my friends, and we would go through all the lists, and we talk about tabletop games, and we talk about strategy games, and all the things that happened in the late 90s, and our influences from Interplay games and Squaresoft games at the time. But yeah, it's an ongoing discussion, which is always good. Okay, not even 2 minutes in. Let's keep going.
Pokemon by far is one of the most popular turn-based RPGs out there.
It is by technicality the most popular because the biggest game franchise in the world.
Yes.
Many other gamers introduction to the RPG genre. With Pokemon,
it was an introduction to most people's video games, like flat out. But
which is amazing because it is a buggy mess.
Absolutely.
And the design from game to game is all over the place.
Yeah, like the original game is like Red and Blue is buggy as all hell. But it's
I'd rather have
at this point.
I'm honestly surprised it got the seal of quality from Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
I'd rather have Red and Blue.
I will say it.
To you?
I'm just trying to formulate my words. Sorry. No, it's Red and Blue is better than how Green, Red and Green in Japan came out. Red and Green was worse. When we got Blue was the updated fix to Red and Green that fixed a lot of sprites, fixed a lot of existing bugs. So our Red is just their Pokemon Blue as well.
I'd rather have Red and Blue than Diamond and Pearl, because those were pretty bad as well. And I say that knowing Pearl was my first game. Because Diamond,
Pearl, Platinum were some of the best in the series.
The
Yeah,
best.
no,
The
Diamond
best.
and Pearl were not the best. You have balancing and typing issues. 2 fire types, 2 electric
You have
types?
shit taste issues, my man.
Yeah.
Diamond and Pearl was the best. And everyone else that says otherwise
You
can
had
go
two
to the
fire
gulag.
It is the most feature rich Pokemon games in the
It might be
entire
the most
series.
feature-rich
I will say,
Pokemon.
I will say,
And if you
Soul
wanna argue
Silver-
about nonsensical type stuff,
I will say,
making
Soul
Charizard
Silver
a
and
fire flight thing is just stupid.
I will say,
Dude.
Soul Silver and Heart Gold have been the most feature rich games, more so than even Diamond and Pearl. They're in the same generation, but the second generation remakes are somehow they have yet to ever hit that bar of that they set for themselves with the Generation 2 remakes. They've yet to
Okay.
ever hit that bar
Wasn't
again.
it?
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Everybody.
Hello.
Let me explain my problems with Pearl. Bad.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We have
Is
bad.
this thing working?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, we can
it's
hear you.
working. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Okay. We have bad typing
Huh?
balancing. Like, okay. If you want a fire type, you better pick Infernape from the start, or else you're stuck with Rapidash. A fire type that is not exactly the best. Okay, fine. Electric type.
I think we
Gen
set
3
off a
sucks.
new
You're
chaos.
arguing like a child.
We set up the wrong nuke.
I just want. Okay, ghost types. There's only about 2 of them in that freaking region, or around 4 or something. One of them was restricted to Fridays only. One of them was game exclusive.
I have a delay. Give me a second.
Why are you complaining about? It's like you never played first generation, because in first generation
In
ghost types
first
were
generation, there
useless.
was at least
In
choices.
first generation, ghost types were broken.
Yeah, but
So,
at least there was
like,
choices.
Actually, no.
Broken, not like
Most of the
overpowered broken, like non-functional broken.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's because they were poison type.
yes,
Ghost poison. They weren't
which
just flat
which
poison.
in, which,
No, like, there
insta
was
killed
the-
them by psychic, which
Yeah,
which
and
there
there
was
was a bug
supposedly a
that
counter
made
against.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
there
you know,
was
it
no
was
a bug
ghost
that made
attacks?
ghost type moves not even work against psychics.
But no, it was
Beautiful.
But yeah, no, like Diamond and Pearl are good games. What you're complaining about is mitigated by the fact that as soon as you beat the main story, the national dex was a thing. And also in Diamond and Pearl, it
No,
was the
that
first
is
time.
not
That's
an
the
argument that
point.
they're well designed. That's
No, I
like,
said they were
you
good
have
games.
to-
I didn't say they were.
you
I
have
said they
to
were good
beat
games. I
the
didn't say they were
game
well
to be
designed.
able to build a team does not speak well of the
No,
game.
The
Pokemon is
Platinum.
based on-
The relevant part about Platinum is that it had post game content after you beat the
Oh
top
yeah,
4.
Platinum fixed a lot of the issues with Diamond and Pearl, but Diamond and Pearl were iffy.
And
Here's the
I think
thing.
a lot of the idea was they were trying to also encourage you to use the newer Pokemon as opposed to just sticking with the team you'd already had. That was one of the first times they tried to enforce that. So
Here's the thing involving Pokemon, why the typing is important for type variety. Pokemon is a game based on, customization to the max. We said this earlier, right?
No.
Well, it's based
And what
around
is it about?
customization.
If you're not building it is okay.
It's
You can
not
build
to
a
the
team
max.
however you want, but
You can't make your personal fun Pokemon from the editor. That would be customization to the max. That's not
Well,
what
you
it
know
is.
what I meant when I said that. You have
We're
a lot
a
of
nitpick
customization
stream.
options.
I don't care about what you supposedly mean when you say something. We take such statements apart in these videos here. That's why why we do these, because people have bad articulation and choose bad wording.
Well, I have a problem with that too. but
speaking
that's
of the
not point.
video, this was about how people started with Pokemon. It's not about the quality of Pokemon. So
yeah,
we're a little bit off the reservation here.
I was just saying
MLB,
that
my first
Pokemon Diamond
introduction
and
to the
Pearl were
series,
such bad
it was
messes.
just
At the
something
very
about these
least,
games that was just
the original Red and Blue was very good with its type variety, and it didn't run like slow
Except for the
blast.
fact that one of the types was broken and one of the types had no weaknesses. But yeah,
What?
type
Guys, can you hear
variety.
me?
I said.
Yep, we can.
Th-
Not
that's
balanced.
always, though, that too is always fucked.
All right.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, hello. It is I, the Copper Owl, but I did not change my... Okay, so Gen 1, Ghost-type Pokemon did have a weakness because... One, they were weak to Ghost, but there weren't any Ghost moves other than Nightshade, and that was treated
there
as
was
a
Lick.
normal-type move.
Yes, Lick.
Oh yeah, there was Lick, too, and all that, but they had a weakness in Psychic types. The Psychic types were the, overpowered
psychic
ones.
types were the ones that didn't have a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they
Yes,
technically
yes.
did, but their weakness was bug,
And Bug had
and the
no.
only offensive bug move was Pin Missile.
I love Pin-
which
no,
was
there was
on
Twin
which
Needle. Twin Needle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but
okay. They had Twin Needle and
nobody
Pin
uses
Missile.
nobody uses that Beebo. I don't know what the English name was.
Beedrill.
Beedrill.
I love
Yeah.
Beedrill.
So yeah, but that thing is that thing is too weak, and the only other one that had what was it? Pin needle, pin rocket,
Pin Missile.
pin
It
missile.
was
and,
Jolteon.
so I'm sorry. I have from first gen. It's all German in my head.
Oh, okay.
So I have to guess what the English things are at times. And that was on Volteon.
Yeah, Jolteon.
And-
Jolteon.
But
No, it was
Volteon
also on...
Volteon had strong special but weak attack, and Pin Needle uses attack.
Yup.
So it
Because
was
Bug
was a
completely
physical
fucking
type.
useless.
Yes, because remember,
you did more damage
before
with Volteon's electro attacks against psychics.
because
which-
remember before
it is
Diamond and
just
Pearl,
broken.
before Diamond and Pearl, attacks weren't special or physical. It was fire,
The types
water.
were
No, it was special
and
against
physical.
It was the typing.
No, but the typing of the move is what made it physical or special. It wasn't. There was no physical special split.
Right.
Like
And
there is
remember
now.
in Gen 1 there was only one special stat.
Yes, and they
Yeah,
hadn't
so,
split. They didn't split
so
that
you
until
had
Gen 2.
you had Pokemon like Shelder and Cloyster being extremely powerful because their special stat was through the roof. And then
Same
they
for
got
Jinx.
completely screwed in the move to Gen 2 because
Yes.
it was their special defense that was through the roof, and their special attack was just complete trash.
All right.
I
Yeah,
did.
Pin
I
Missile-
wanted to say I never said the balancing was perfect. I was just talking about the variety of the types.
The type
was
distribution, I
always
mean,
shit.
except for ghosts and bugs,
Yeah,
the
but
Alright,
weakness, the
that's all
two
very
weakness
interesting. Anyways,
types
let's
to
get back to the
psychic.
video.
All right.
Fresh air.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah,
introduced to
sorry.
different types of matchups, abilities, and Pokemon
Well,
combinations was really refreshing.
To add to the Pin Missile thing,
I find it
Peter
really
Ran and
oh my-
Sandslash could also learn Pin Missile.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So like 3
Oh.
Pokemon.
okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a
Thanks
very
for showing
limited
any
move
Pokemon
and all that, and I prefer Twin Needle because you actually poison a poison type using Twin Needle.
Pokemon advice a unique kind of autism.
Sort
Yes,
of,
it does.
yes.
I haven't even
I'm
played
like-
Red and Blue in like 20 years. Oh, now I feel old.
Oh,
Yeah, see,
I just recently...
You know how I felt. So you know how I felt when they announced the 25th anniversary edition for the
Do you
new
know how
Pokemon
many
3DS?
25th anniversaries of game series I've been through at this point?
Oh, I'm sure you have, Wisp.
It ain't right.
All right.
It ain't
Just-
right.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's a quarter century of
You're old.
Zelda, of Mario, of whatever you name it.
Right.
Like StarCraft, Warcraft. Like, oh god.
Anyway, here is Kyogre's. I can't pronounce this guy's name. Kyogre's hideout.
Kyogre.
Yeah.
Kyogre.
Everyone
A
either
Pokemon.
either forgets or just ignores that all of Gen 4 ran a painfully slow frame rate, even platinum, despite running slightly better.
Oh, yes.
The Gen
Oh,
4
yeah, no, it had-
engine was horribly optimized. I haven't checked the exact frame rate, but it feels like a mere 10 FPS.
Yes, there were times where if you ate enough damage in a single move, like your frame rate would drop to like 5. And it would take there were times it would take 6 or 7 seconds for your health bar to tick all the way down. Oh, it was awful.
In
Yeah.
2016-17, I played for all the Pokemon games I missed. And since second gen, that's why I stopped playing. And I didn't notice these things because I was used to Pokemon games being broken as fuck. So I didn't see this as a downside because I just thought, this is a Pokemon game. It's normal.
That's fair.
Yeah, to be fair,
Gen 5, when they switched over to Gen 5, they fixed a lot of that frame rate problem.
Yeah, it's funny. Pokemon fans all just kind of go, yeah, when it comes to like some of the optimization issues with the games. That we just kind of go, yeah, you're right. We know, but we've been complaining about this for years, and
that's the part that pisses me off.
Biggest
game series in the world, and it can't get basics right.
Yeah,
what
because
hacks
they
are
don't
they
have
employing?
to try.
Why are they employing absolute hacks?
All right.
Because they can. They don't
because-
have to actually put in effort because they'll sell like 5 million copies a piece no matter what.
And because the fans
They've
act
been
like
getting
you
away
guys.
with selling
You've
you
been
the
spending
same
20
game
minutes
twice
talking
in the
about
same...
fucking drill. Let's keep going. Jesus.
Well, the thing is, they have innovated, but they just dropped them. Like, we had difficulty mode in Black and White too, as well as so just recently we had fail states and all that. You could actually usually when you lose a battle, it just resets you back to the gym and you just replay through the same scene and all that. But in some battles, just recently from Sun and Moon onward, you could lose the battle and the game continues. They just heal your Pokemon for you.
Yeah, like they do weird like innovation. Like there's Game Freak's
And then they
innovations.
drop the good innovations and put in dumb ones like
Yeah.
Yes, I know
Dynamaxing.
it's so like
Yes.
that's I'll never
Well,
disagree
I
on
prefer
this
Dynamaxing
point.
over Megas.
Mega King.
Alright, let's just get through this part instead of
I
mixing
prefer-
Mega King is
honestly-
ruined the game.
I will say I
It's
honestly
just-
prefer Z moves to either of them because it still allows it's a one per battle thing and it still lets any Pokemon use it.
All right. I got to catch up on
Yeah,
some.
but any Pokemon that uses Dynamax can get its HP high enough so now it becomes a little bit more bulk. Plus, it gets powerful moves.
Alright.
Pokemon, like,
Can we
Alright,
stop
we should
talking
get back
about
to the video.
Pokemon now?
Yes.
that's why I'm here.
All right. I got to catch up on
We are not here to talk about the deep lore of Pokemon.
All right. Well, believe it or not, these donations are about Pokemon, so I got to read them.
Yeah.
Oh Christ, no.
Here's Great Scott. Lol, Pokemon may inspire autism, but SMT inspires outright manic Asperger's. Oh, jeez.
Oh god.
No, it inspires absolute chatterism, okay?
Okay.
I actually have owned... I got SMT5 for Christmas. I need to actually go play it.
You should.
I should be catching up on my backlog instead of playing Dark Souls for the 5th time.
Oh.
And everyone
old is
listening
Dark
should
Souls?
buy a copy of SMT Nocturne and grow some hair on their balls.
What about Dark Souls?
How old is that game now?
Dark Souls? Oh my word.
Someone just reset
Dark.
the video.
Oh, no.
Somebody just sent us back to the beginning.
I
Dark
think I'll
Souls
allow.
is 11 years old.
Oh, I thought
I
it
think
was
that was
older.
me. I clicked
I
something.
do want to ask a question about Shin Megami Tensei because I don't know much about it. Is that game that have like people fighting with shadows like JoJo stands or something?
That is
They're around
Persona,
238.
so yes and
Yes.
no. Because
SMT is a
Persona is
superior
a Shin
series.
Megami Tensei spin-off. SMT is the daddy series. It's SMT is Pokemon for adults.
That's
That's
one
a
way to...
shorthand way to put it.
That is a
That's
very
all
interesting
right.
way to put it. Anyways,
That's just how invested I was into the game. It was to a point where I held it into such a high standard. If I was to play any turn-based RPG, it had to be similar to Pokemon, or it just wasn't worth
I
my
guess
time.
connected
And I
with-
think this is where my distaste of the genre really started. I also developed a really weird habit where I could not play an RPG
Everything went
unless
quiet.
it was on a handheld device. And even then, I strictly only played Pokemon. I always
Why did he put Mega Man on a PSP? What? Okay, anyway. Yeah, are you good there? Because you thought you were disconnected there.
Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I could hear you. It just everybody went quiet for a second.
Oh yeah, because we were trying to hear this
stopped
video.
talking.
Yeah,
Because
we're
this video
I
so
can't
quiet.
hear the video.
Go to Watch Together. If you were in the link, you'll see
Yeah,
the
I
volume.
clicked it.
The volume on the right.
Okay. Where's the volume?
Kyoker Hideout says, I got
there
bored
we
of
go.
every Shin Megami Tensei I tried, and I tried quite a few, including some spin-offs, not Persona the other ones. Well, Kyoker, what can I say? Some people just not meant to grow up.
I mean, if you don't click with it, you don't click with it. Nobody's obligated to play every game.
Yeah, nobody has to play.
If it's not your thing, it's not
game.
your thing, and that is fine.
Yeah, here's JS also talking about Pokemon. Gen 1 meta, deploy Gengar, Alakazam, Tauros, and sweep with the most powerful attack you have. Gen 2 meta, build a wall with Blissey, Skarmory, Fortress, Umbreon, and fall asleep.
Yeah, because it shifted over to just front load with health tanks in Gen 2.
Gen 4,
Also, there's a lot
Gen
of the
5 use dragons so hard that they have to introduce a new type.
yeah they their stats were also kind of bad, so like you didn't get a lot of good fire types in Gen 2, except for Typhlosion, and you could transfer over Charizard and everything. But yeah, it was kind of
all right.
Yeah,
it's a big lore
All right,
game.
we're still talking about Pokemon.
Yeah,
We're 2 minutes in.
The game I played needed to have my input and focus. I could never fathom the idea that I could just pick up a skill on my character and it'll just do it for me. For decades, I never touched a turn-based RPG other than Pokemon, and maybe some computer games if you want to count those too. But one series that I never thought I'd ever
computer
play
games?
changed my mind. The Final Fantasy series is an interesting one. I should also point out that I love the Kingdom Hearts series, and it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh my
When I saw
God.
Square Enix had another franchise, I was so excited to check it out. I
Wait,
remember
you
downloading the
played
Final
Kingdom
Fantasy
Hearts
13 demo,
before
finding out-
Final Fantasy?
I know a lot. I know.
This is
To
a
be fair,
broken
to be fair,
generation.
to be fair, I know a lot of people who did that as well, but they
I
got
did
into Final
that
Fantasy and
as
dropped Kingdom Hearts. Like
Is
I know a
this
lot of
why
people.
all the kids today are insane and dumb and can't understand anything because
Yeah.
they grow up with games that make no sense?
Kingdom Hearts is
What I
like the
like
crack
is he's
cocaine
like-
of
He's like, another franchise I got into, Final Fantasy, and he shows the game that's real time, like fully real time. Final Fantasy 15.
And
Yeah,
13.
he
and
talks about it
he's-
as the one turn-based game that changed my life, and he shows
shows
us the Final Fantasy VII remake and
Which
this
is
and
real
then-
time.
and Kingdom Hearts. Like, what the hell is he
Yeah,
talking
Okay,
about?
15, which is
let's be
real
fair,
time.
let's-
Kingdom Hearts, which is real time, and Final Fantasy 13, which is an Excel spreadsheet with some things happening in the background.
Let's be fair here. He could be making a point about how Final Fantasy evolved, from a turn-based to more of a action RPG rather than,
and there's a lot. And to be fair, there's a lot of people who think they should go back to the turn-based.
Keep insisting I should be fair. Why should I be fair? Why should we be fair on this panel? We're here to nitpick, right?
Well, I mean, if we're going to nitpick, we might as well do it right.
Who says that you need to be... Who needs to be fair when you need to nitpick? Like,
Because
where
you
in
get
the
videos
law,
like
where in
this
the
that
unwritten
don't-
piece of law text does it say that you need to be fair when you
Because
nitpick?
Because we get videos like turn-based RPGs are boring if we don't be. If we
Good
don't
point.
be fair.
all right. We're good.
Although I'm starting to think now that if you said the dislikes ratio is pretty bad, unless he gets like real dumb later on, then I'm starting to wonder if people just kind of read the title and hit dislike.
Yeah.
That's what I'm curious
think
about,
so
is
too.
whether he says something, like, does he say something inflammatory so far? It's pretty meh.
Yeah, because he hasn't said anything particularly egregious. Because it was just, I thought turn-based games are boring. Well, I thought that, which means he doesn't think that anymore. So I'm not sure why. Like, now I'm wondering what is so spicy about this video, if it really was just people saw that title.
I'm looking at the transcript, and just 11 seconds in might give us a clue.
All right, let's go.
11 seconds from now.
It
Yep.
was turn-based. Well, it wasn't all turn-based. Majority of the battle system was automated, so you just had to call spells and attacks for your characters, but you get the point. It wasn't until 2016 when I got my hands on a copy of Final Fantasy 15. Yup, Final Fantasy 15 was my first real introduction to the Final Fantasy series.
So a game
nah,
that's
Will
not
he tell us
turn-based.
that through Final Fantasy 15 he got into Final
hold on,
Fantasy
hold on,
and
hold on,
then
hold
played
on.
the older Final Fantasy games?
Hold on. Is he going to talk about how Final Fantasy 15 has a quote unquote turn-based mode?
Hold up. I'm looking through
because it has that, and
Oh.
it's not. It's like Dragon Age Inquisition has a turn-based mode.
And it's garbage.
Because the game was not designed. They added that in as a DLC because they were trying to like. It's not a
No,
great
this
turn-based.
is still like the game you like. Remember the game you like? Please buy this game because it's like the game you like.
We wasted 15 years making, and billions of dollars.
Well, this is what happens.
Man, I can't wait for Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, this is what happens with fans of even happened with Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. People were complaining, "Oh, you could always put turn-based. Everyone loves turn-based. We're hardcore RPGers, and so are you." And da da da. It's like, okay, we'll put it in, and they did, and it didn't bother anyone because it's completely optional. But it just goes to show that people will do this on top of a system which is more complex, just because people don't want to. I don't know. They don't want to play a faster game because these games are huge. Like Wrath of the Righteous takes at least 40, 50 hours to get through. And to put
it's the problem.
Is another you're doubling that. Like it's taking so much time to play a game.
Yeah, but with the problem is with 15 it was just slapped on. It doesn't work. 15 was not designed to be a turn-based game. It was designed for a full action RPG. Yeah. That's what it is. And they slapped a turn-based mode onto it, and everyone's like, "Why did you do this?" Like, no one was asking for this either. Like the people who honestly liked the game were like, "Why? Why Square?"
Yeah.
It was more so, we had this scrapped system that we decided not to use, but then we just quickly finished it and put it in the game, and everyone's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I had this
Why?
weird argument over the years, or years ago rather, with some well-known guy on the RPG Codex about when Exile was making the next Torment game, and there was a vote, like, what do you want? Do you want turn-based or real-time with pause? That was an actual vote for the backers of the whole, this Kickstarter. And I was within the camp of real-time with pause because it was based off the original game. I'm like, why would you change the entire game? Just keep it the same. Tell us a good story. That's all we need. But nope, the Codex people got involved and they changed the vote so that, and it wasn't actually a vote. It was like they were going to do it anyway. They just wanted to be justified. So it was this bizarre thing of, well, we're going to ask people for their opinion, but we're not going to actually base it off that opinion. We're going to just get their comments. So
a kangaroo court.
Planescape Torment was never about the combat.
Yeah.
It was that's why it was completely okay that it was tacked on mess that was half unusable.
It was
because it played no role. You could play through the entire game with, I think there were two or three fights that are not that you cannot skip.
Yeah, exactly. And some of those you could cancel them halfway through the fight, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, who do you have to fight in that game? I'm trying to remember now. You have to fight the witch, whatever her name is. I can't remember.
You can fight, but you don't have to. That is the pinnacle of an RPG. You can.
Yeah, that's actually
come with every solution through the game.
Yeah, that's actually one of my litmus tests for whether or not an RPG is really like.
Oh.
Is it really an RPG where a lot of thought was put into it? Is, can I not fight the last boss? Like, is there a way to get around the last boss without having to actually fight? And Planescape Torment is one of those. Yeah. That's my personal litmus test, is of whether or not whether something is an RPG, but whether an RPG has been carefully crafted from the ground up. Like the level of
same thing with Colonel Autumn.
Yeah, is do I have to fight the last boss of the game? So in Planescape Torment, the answer is no. Because they put a lot of thought into Planescape Torment.
And there's more than one ways to do that at the ending as well. So
yeah.
I'm just looking through the comments on this video, see if there's anything else. Because I think the main problem with the dislike might be just the quality of the sound and all that. And I found an interesting comment. Turn-based is for malding neckbeards who just want to sit there and plan out their actions for the next 7 hours of a playthrough. They complain it doesn't have enough comment.
How is that interesting?
Yes.
Really, because it's always the action games that people rush through and then bitch and moan that there's not enough content, whereas RPGs generally have 40 to 60 hours worth of content in them.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one type of person I can think of who's constantly angry, it's people who play turn-based games.
All right.
No, the turn-based game players just sit there and go, "Wow, there's so much content for $60. I can sit and play this for, months and still be finding new shit to do."
Okay, here's JS again. Unpopular opinion: the active time battle is the best compromise between action RPG and turn-based RPGs. It is a hybrid for sure. I don't know if it's the best, but that's what Square's been playing.
It is certainly a mix of the two combat styles.
If Square leaned more heavily into it, yes, but they've kind of abandoned it and just gone full action combat with 15 and now to be 16 soon. Because the active time, it was basically like the auto attacks would just go out by themselves, and then you would choose the skills as the timer rolled around. Which I prefer that more to, if you want to have like an RPG, a more turn-based RPG, and you want to like have the characters and doing something while you're making your actions.
Well, compared to
chosen
12's version of an MMO single-player offline game, where it's just automated and you have these giant script of what your characters do because you've optimized them so well.
Which is funny with 11, it's actually a pretty decent active time or a pretty decent ATB system. It's just the problem is it's 11, and 11 is not new player friendly even nowadays. But you can play the entire game solo because they've made it so, and it's still a functioning MMO. Like you can still get on official servers and still play it.
All right, Dr. Christmas says, "Man, I wish there were more. We need more RPGs." And then follows up with, "Pokemon is better than both Persona and Digimon." And then you wonder why we don't have more RPGs.
Okay.
I don't think you know what RPGs are.
That's fine. We don't have to. It's okay. We can keep going.
Despite a lot feel about how much it's a departure from the series or how easy, brain dead the combat is, it's still one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. After playing the game, I was really ready to give the Final Fantasy series
How many have you played?
I was really intimidated by the turn-based aspect.
Let
that all
him
changed
answer that.
once I picked up this game.
Oh boy.
I don't actually know what this is.
Really?
This is 10.
This
is the opening.
Played 10 in a long time.
Yeah, it's the opening cutscene for 10.
That's a Tuzana contract.
I came into it with the lowest of expectations.
Rightfully so, because it's Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
You should have looked.
It's Final Fantasy.
Came in the mill, I literally questioned the reason of why I bought it. But when I finally booted up on my console, I was just blown away. Now I have a review of the game coming out soon, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but the combat system is just so refreshing. Whenever I played Pokemon, I never bothered with the stat changing skills. I typically just used moves that were super effective against my opponent. But in Final Fantasy X, moves like Haste, Shell, Protect that increase your attack.
So wait, he never tried buffing or debuffing?
Well, okay, because
Pokemon is so simple
honestly,
that you
don't really
don't
need that if you're
necessarily
not in
need it.
competitive Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no need for buffing attacks in Pokemon. Once again, Pokemon is baby's first RPG.
Yeah,
It
you
is-
can easily get through the entire game with nothing but offense.
Yes, and that was the point behind it.
Yes, you can.
That's the reasoning behind it.
Yes, and you can do similar in many old games. Lufia is a prime example of that, with just offensive moves and healing. You can do that. You may need to overlevel a little bit, but generally that's possible. If you really want to get through that in a let's say low XP run, you would have to rely on stat boost spells and such.
Also,
You would need to think. And there's RPG Maker games that are really where the fights themselves are where the devs have really put so much thought into it that the fights themselves become puzzles that you use the correct skills with buffs and debuffs in the right order so that you can beat the enemy. That sounds a bit restrictive, but that's the challenge of those games. And it's almost a very, very tiny subgenre.
That's the entire Shin Megami Tensei series, and it's the only RPG series I've seen that have been making that fun, at least as far as I've played.
And what you're saying is that the fights are more dances, that you have to learn the dance rather than just brute force.
No, they're not dances. In these little RPG Maker games that I've played, it is literally there is a fixed number of enemies in the entire game that you come across. There is not, and they're in order, so you don't run into random enemies, and the fights are so it is completely pre-scripted what the enemy will do, and you have to figure out, when do I do an attack, when do I do the heal, when do I do the defense spell.
That's what I mean by it's a dance.
I need to figure that out in advance, and if I don't do the right combination, because with the initiative line has the things happen not in the all your characters act and the enemies act, but in this not random order, but in the initiative order of all the characters on the screen. You just have to figure out the puzzle, and that's the challenging part. It's not a dance. It's a set. It's an absolute set. It's like you have to figure out what is the key, what is the secret code.
Wait, are you telling us you play Monster Go Quest?
No.
You're describing Monster Go Quest. Like beat for beat.
Okay.
The thing you're describing is Monster Go Quest.
Anyway, let's hear his wonderful talk about Final Fantasy X.
In advance for the majority of the battles. Now, enemies do have magical weaknesses, but sometimes they have abilities that can help counter these weaknesses. For example, I fought an enemy that was weak to fire, but he had a fireproof ability, which negated all fire attacks. You also have 7 party members, with each of them having specific use in battle. Waka can be used to hit flying enemies because of his high accuracy stat. You can also use Orin to...
It's also because he has a ball. That's kind of... He introduces himself as a blitzball player, and he's the only one who could hit people from a distance or in the air because he has a ball. Not because
also,
it was high accuracy.
In 10, you can make any character, like you can literally customize all the characters to do whatever you want.
That
like there's
crazy, what was it called? The sphere system?
It's the sphere grid, sphere system.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can which I mean if he gets into it, good, but still.
Yeah.
Deal heavy damage and break enemy defenses. You can also use Yuna to help heal your team and cast buffs to help you win the battle. There's so much variety in these fights. Even the AI enemy...
You know, it's okay. It's nothing different than any other Final Fantasy. They have buffers and healers and whatever all throughout the years.
Yeah, but I mean, like the guy said, if he went from Pokemon to Final Fantasy, I can understand him being like, whoa! Yeah, I can understand his being going, whoa, this is great.
Depth. Yeah.
Like I can understand where he's coming from. So because I've been there. I did exactly that.
Yeah, it's like he's been in the backyard blower pool. You know, these things that you pump up with air and then fill with water. And he's been playing in that, and now he's went to the public swimming pool with the children's basin that is like 0.5 meter deep.
Hey, everyone has their revelation moments, okay?
Ooh. Yeah. I don't want.
And this is the children's basin is still the one that consists half of piss. Imagine what happens if he ever finds the adult basin with the lanes in it.
Well, that might be how this ends. We don't know. Nice. We still have 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
I was like that with Fallout.
I think many people were, because I think most people's introduction to the series was 3.
Yes, that was my introduction to the series. And not knowing anything, I saw a Death Claw as my first random encounter, and I ran up to it.
Very smart.
You went, Kitty, let me pet.
Yeah, I wanted to pet it. I thought I could pet it or something because
the universal human emotion sees animal, must pet.
Yeah, and I didn't. It didn't kill me. I managed to run around. You could play Benny Hill music, and I blew up a bus and killed it. And I'm like, wait. It's like I ran out of ammo. It got to the point that I just was going to start fighting it with a baseball bat. And I'm like, this game's amazing. And then I walked into the Super Duper Mart, and yeah, that was the Raiders were a thing. So, and then I became the Mechanist for a long time. So there we go. But yeah, I went from Pokemon to Persona and then Fallout. And
then you made it your entire personality.
I did, but then I stopped because I'm not gonna advertise for Amazon.
You didn't move on to Civilization at Master of Orion?
I'm like a Luddite, so the most advanced console I have is my Switch. I'm still playing the 360.
Oh my god.
Civilization is old.
Yeah, I can't play a computer game. Like, this is the first time I ever used this video chat thing on Discord.
Oh.
That's okay.
And all that. Like, I only recently got a smartphone. I was using a flip phone up until my
smartphones
mid-20s.
Anyway.
Smartphones are extremely overrated.
The only
I
reason
use one out of necessity.
Yeah, the only reason I switched is because my phone was so old that the service no longer worked with it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Copper is a straight up Amish. Holy shit.
Yeah. And all that. It's good that I'm learning how to do these things and all that because...
we found someone for the Amish dating website.
I don't date... Sorry.
No, I'm being funny because that is an actual website. It's like the farmers only dating.
Yeah.
There's an Amish only. It's for people who grew up Amish and left the Amish religion and like the Amish because when they're 18,
it's a lifestyle.
It's also a religious sect.
Yes, when they leave, they're allowed to leave.
The Amish are a Mennonite religious sect.
Yes, they're allowed to leave at like 18, and then they can live outside the I'm trying to think of the word, like the clan, like their community. Yeah, sorry,
and a surprising lot of them returns after they've seen the big cities in America, especially in California, which is absolutely no surprise. I would return to the Amish village too after seeing that shit.
Yeah,
and they're not quite as technology averse as they used to be, because what it is, like, the stereotype is that they don't use any technology. It's more that they don't use any technology that they consider to make life too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they will use electric lights. Like, you'll see them put, and some of that is like safety regulations, because even like if you have a religious practice that goes against typical law in the United States, there are a lot of exemptions unless it's considered a major safety risk. So proper lighting on like cars, and they don't drive cars, but they do ride horse carriages, and they have to put like reflective lighting on that because of safety issues. And they even in certain cases allow the use of cell phones, but it's like strictly for
emergencies.
They make their money by selling things, so it's strictly to communicate with other
businesses. Other businesses, like it's from what I know, basically they'll use stuff that is they're okay to use modern tech if it has replaced older things to the point where they can't use that old thing anymore.
Right, as opposed to like you're still not going to see in an Amish household, you're not going to see a television, you're not going to see a game console, you're not going to see a computer, but they're not like living by candlelight not communicate. They're not communicating by carrier pigeon, obviously, because carrier pigeons are extinct. Anyway,
What they are?
yes,
Yeah,
they've been
went
extinct
extinct
for
after
about
World War I.
70 years.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Oh, I
Yes,
thought there were still
carrier.
hobbyists using them.
No, carrier pigeons died. The last carrier pigeons died out in like the 50s.
In the US or worldwide?
I think worldwide, possibly only in the US. I'm not sure. People may be training other species of bird to act like carrier pigeons did, but I think the particular species that was called carrier pigeons died out. This is not related to the video at all. I don't even.
We're going on
little-
an EFAP tangents here.
Yeah, this is wild. We need to actually
little bit
move
of-
Out
along
that
here.
content, aren't
These have a
we?
unique
little bit of
pattern
irony
that's
with
quite
that.
interesting. Some
Sorry, just to add a little bit of that. I actually live in like rural Texas, and the town next over is like full of Mennonites. And ironically, I'm not into Mennonites, and I don't use the technology and all that. So, just to
Are
add.
they
Okay.
are they Amish or are they just Mennonites?
Mennonites, but I met
Okay.
them, and some of them are kind of like Amish.
Well, I
They-
mean,
they
the
make-
Amish are a subsect of the Mennonites.
Yeah,
Okay, what is
So-
a
they make
Mennonite?
great
It's not-
sandwiches.
Are they
A
like
Men- a
Mennonites
Mennonite-
from?
No, not Mennonite. Mennonites were followers of Menno Simon, who was a Christian reformist in the wake of Martin Luther. It was a whole thing a long time ago.
So another
He
Christian
was
fundamentalist group.
from the Netherlands, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Amish are a mix of Dutch and German.
Yes.
We have a
Who
lot of-
over
So
here,
Sarek's
the
also
Germans,
mentioning that in the chat.
the Germans who moved over here to the United States and settled in Pennsylvania became the Pennsylvania Dutch, even though they're not Dutch.
Yeah, you know,
Oh.
the whole thing is, so
it
Germany,
came from Deutsch.
Germans,
Yes.
yeah, Germans call themselves Deutsch. The people from the Netherlands are called Dutch,
Right.
and then we have Denmark, which is Danish,
Yes.
yes.
and it's always
Yes, the early Americans confused Deutsch with Dutch, and so they became the Pennsylvania Dutch, even though they were German.
Why ever would you confuse that?
Because you're English and you don't speak German,
No,
presumably.
because it's all stupid in the first place.
Yeah, how can you confuse a Dutchman for a German?
I don't know. I haven't met too many native Dutchmen or Germans.
Anyway,
Like
So I got
Pokemon
a
against
question
the Dutch
real
are
quick.
crazy.
How
Is,
can you
the
think
Men-
Anglo-Saxons are not Germans?
So I got a question real quick. Is the Mennonites going to be the new Pokemon for this chat?
No.
Okay, yeah, let's continue.
No, we're done talking about the Mennonites. I did write a paper on one of Menno Simon's followers when I was in college, but we're not going to get into that.
All right, enough about the Mennonites.
Some bosses will actually react to the skills you use on them. For example, if you use slow on the enemy, they might counter with haste, which makes them faster. If you apply a static effect on the enemy, he might counter with Esuna.
I mean,
them. There was so much more logical.
Like I
thinking that the
said,
AI
like we
makes
said,
to make the battle
this is this dude's first experience. So
Whoa.
I can understand why it being your first experience with a proper turn-based RPG, it would be different to you.
Yeah.
Why it might be a little bit shocking to see the enemy AI actually reacting to you, especially if the game you played before that was 15.
You'd be forgiven to thinking there was an enemy AI in 15.
Yeah.
Outside of the bosses that they pre-scripted to be for spectacle.
Remember the adamantine turtle that used to take half an hour to kill? Remember that?
Oh, you mean until they figured out they could just crush it with a ring?
Yeah,
Well,
and
like
then they,
most of these games have some special boss like that. Either there's a trick to it or it's something very special. To
Yeah,
bring
but-
up Lufia again, it had the optional boss of the Egg Dragon, which there were 8 in all the dungeons. There are 8 chests that contain dragon eggs, and if you bring the 8 dragon eggs to the dragon, he fulfills you a wish and then returns the 8 eggs to random chests that have been previously opened for you. You can find them again and get another wish from the egg dragon.
Are the 8 eggs perfectly round?
No, they're
with
eggs.
Stars inside.
No, they're eggs. They're just eggs. But at the end, after you got everything from him, which is the egg sword and the egg ring, which have insane stats. So the egg sword is basically useless, but has a great skill. And the egg ring, if you put it on, gives you maximum stats on every stat. And
that's
if
what
you
we
have
call
done
a
everything,
proper reward for that kind of exploration.
Yes,
yeah, like
after that you can fight him, and he has ridiculous amounts of HP. It's I don't know. I think I was at max level, and I think it took me. I may be lying because I was like 13 when I played it, but it was like 40-50 minutes of attacking this thing and trying to stay alive and regenerating mana and just trying to kill this thing. And after that, he gives you, I don't even remember what he gives you after that. And then he leaves, I think, or something.
Yeah, every Final Fantasy game has, they're called super bosses, which is basically that. They're end-game bosses that are usually hidden away. They're not designed, like, you can beat them at level 1. They're not designed for that, mind you, but you can do it. They're designed to be, once you've hit level 99, it's a
special challenge.
Sure, but the problem with the adamantine turtle in 15 is that it wasn't especially challenging. It was
it was just a health
because it was so big and moved so slowly that its attacks were telegraphed like
the tortoise is in the super boss.
You could receive a telegraph faster than you would actually have one of those attacks go off. But he had so much health that you just sat there wailing on him for like 35 minutes.
And then people figured out with the Ring of the Lucian, which crushes enemies, all the enemies in your area as the attack, and just black holes them basically. They figured out you could do that to the turtle, and so people would just leave the turtle alive until they got the ring, then go back in time in the game. Like literally, you just go back in time. You go kill the turtle. And then you make sure you have 2 EXP buffs and sleep in a hotel, and you get like 30 levels worth of experience.
Which means that boss is not the bullet sponge, but has a puzzle to it.
Yeah.
So it's different from the egg dragon.
Alrighty.
It's like the bed of chaos in Dark Souls. Anyway. I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls lately.
Anyway,
I hadn't beaten it before, and then I decided to give it a proper shot, and I beat it 3 times.
Here is Carlos. Hey, Carlos, thank you. Hey, just joined. This guy is probably the type to say turn-based is boring, but loves Persona 5. I thought so as well, and then he changed his tune about a minute in.
Yeah,
we're on an interesting journey.
This is actually not like his script isn't great, and his sound editing is pretty terrible, but I don't know why this video is so poorly received. I think people read the title and
listen to the first 10
reflexively
seconds.
downvoted.
Okay.
Unless he says something really spicy in the next minute and a half.
All right.
Okay, so someone in the chat was asking, what does Meta Knight evolve into?
Mennonites evolve into pressing play so we can move on from that topic.
Pressing Batarian. There
I
you
think
go.
the turn-based RPG benefits heavily from their combat system and gameplay when it comes to storytelling. I find it odd how well games like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, and Persona can tell such engaging stories with really simplistic combat.
Why did he use the Warriors game art for Dragon Quest?
Wait,
he showed Dragon Quest Heroes.
No way.
System and gameplay where it comes to storytelling. I find it odd how well games like Dragon Quest
Heroes,
Final Fantasy, and Persona.
Dragon Quest Heroes is a Musou game. It's not a turn-based game.
I haven't played Dragon Quest Heroes to know if it has like anything involving turn-based or not.
It doesn't. It's a Musou game. I mean, not an official one. It's not actually made by Team Ninja or W Force, but that's what it is.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those like Musou. That's why pretty much everyone just calls them Musou games when they're not by W Force, and then
Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, like Dynasty Warriors is like the if it's made by them.
Yeah, like that's why I was curious why Persona 5 didn't put up Strikers. I was like, what did you?
I any Warriors games, especially the non-Dynasty Warriors, I never found compelling in regards to the writing. They're like
there's no.
It's like someone with brain damage who is drunk wrote them.
Yeah.
One series, like one franchise that never got a Musou style game, which I would have figured would have been the perfect series for it, was Kill la Kill. How that series never
even get a game?
Yes, it was a 2.5 fighter. It was just retold the. Yeah, good. I'm like, how is this game where it's literally the most over the top combat fighting show that Trigger has ever done, with just thousands of just blank faced enemies rushing the main character at all times when they're fighting, and then there's also the big super bosses that could be their own unique character. How does this game or the series never get a Dynasty Warriors Musou style game? How?
Maybe it will.
Just be glad it didn't, because most of these games are absolute shit.
I mean, Hyrule Warriors is damn good, both 1 and 2.
No,
I like Persona 5.
No, it got playable, but it is not great gameplay.
Oh my gosh!
Especially in the definitive edition, they broke a lot of the officer interaction with the tools, that they're basically useless at this point. Bombs don't auto-lock anymore. They're just doing their standard arc. And if that doesn't land on the Moblin doesn't go into the special weakness state. And why did they remove that part? They changed parts of the game design from the between these three iterations. Some were positive additions, others were just crap like that just made elements of the game that were the interesting parts that were bringing you a change to the endless boring grind that just basically removed it and made it worthless, and you can just ignore it now. What the fuck?
All right.
And no, that is not. Maybe that is good for a Warriors game, but that says a lot about Warriors games. Because there is nothing interesting about the gameplay. It has interesting, it has nice moves, that's it.
I played Age of Calamity for Persona 5 Strikers. I thought they were pretty good.
I haven't gotten to Age of Calamity yet. I honestly don't want to, because I have such a horrible impression of Warriors games at this point, that why should I give that a chance? By giving it the chance to ruin Breath of the Wild for me, by putting this absolute bullshit into the pre-story of it? Fuck you, no.
More so than Breath of the Wild already ruined itself? Alright.
Oh, man, if you're gonna act like this, you're no better than the guy making the video, dude.
Are you fucking retarded?
Listen to my words before I get interrupted.
I mean, you're writing off the entire genre.
Fucking time.
Wisp. Age of Calamity is actually a pretty good story for setting. Like, no, So
in these games, you have to. The problem is, so maybe the story is less horrible than in Hyrule Warriors. However,
well, the story in Hyrule Warriors is just
apart for me as well. This is a Warriors game where you have these thousands of enemies standing around doing nothing, waiting for you to be just offed into the never. And so this is supposed to be the time when we actually fight all these hordes in Hyrule, where there are millions of people, because there are millions that have to be slaughtered. This whole thing doesn't work.
Anyway.
It is immersion breaking for me. I cannot take this seriously anymore.
Anyway, that's cool. Let's keep going. Here's Mark. Mark in the chat. I don't know what you're doing, Mark, but I see you're not in the panel. This stream is a turn-based RPG. It is something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
what's happening?
My
Here?
turn keeps getting
I was
skipped.
trying.
What I mean is this part of Breath of the Wild would have been really interesting as a slower paced game that adds all the interaction with the world to it, where you have these defensive positions and you have units advancing and all of this, but not this over the top nonsense.
Okay.
I was
alrighty.
going to say before I got interrupted.
Yeah, now I kind of regret pointing out the game art.
I was going to say simply that you having a bad first impression and then demonizing the entire thing.
It's not a bad first impression. I've played more Warriors games, and I've played because I'm a retard completionist. Before I can move on, I've played all of the fucking versions of Hyrule Warriors. I need it out of my head. I am just hate playing it so that my mind shuts up and says, okay, I am done with it. I am now through all the fucking maps. I can put it away and forget that it ever existed.
Here is
Your problem for being a completionist. No.
Whisp straight away. Get out of my head. Get out of my head.
Can we take a pause and move on and stop yelling at each other, please?
Here's Great Scott. Thank you, sir. Mark is incorrect. This stream is a real action RPG, just like Final Fantasy 15. If that were the case, we'd be in a car and I'd be going to somewhere hot and cool to cool off. Nice.
And we'd have an awkwardly implemented flight system.
Well, the auto was it auto? Is it auto? It's auto drive. What is it called? I don't remember.
That was
Yeah.
That was
No.
a good one.
You don't remember how the car flies in Final Fantasy 15?
I never.
You
played
need
it.
like a bunch of space for takeoff and landing, and if you don't give yourself enough space for landing, you get a game over because you crash and die.
It says something
Oh,
when in. It says something when in Final Fantasy 14 when they did a crossover and they gave you the car as a mount. The car works better in the 13-year-old MMO than it does in the
game it was meant for.
Yes, the game doesn't break when you bump into something in the car.
Oh my word!
Wasn't the mechanic in
I
that
gotta
game?
go back and try 14 again. I played 14 once, and it was apparently before like.
Oh, did you play 1.0?
I think so.
Oh, I'm so sorry, buddy. Yeah, right. I will say, just give the free trial a try because you get the base game and the first expansion. So,
when did they go and restructure the whole thing? Was it with the first expansion?
Nope. When 2.0 hit, when Realm Reborn, they knew you cannot go back and access
because
1.0 anymore.
I think I started it right when the first expansion came out.
Oh, when Heavensward did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I never played it after that, so
I would highly suggest.
I gotta go back and try it sometime.
Yeah, it's worth picking up.
Is it still? Do they still not sell new copies of it because too many people are playing it?
Nope, they fixed that problem.
Okay.
But yeah,
I remember when that was happening.
Yeah, that was when Endwalker. That was last summer, and then Endwalker hit, and they had to stop the free trial because there were so many people playing.
Yeah,
because the servers just couldn't handle it. But yeah, it's worth your time. Right. It really is.
We're still diverting a bit.
Yeah,
here.
let's keep going. Let's keep going. We're good.
I could tell such stories with really simplistic combat, but then I realized it. Because of how simplistic the combat system is, there's more of a focus on the story.
I don't think
you can put a lot
combat
of
is simplistic.
This is the part that really got me when it first played. Like how the line, let the line that he just said sink in. He is surprised that these games could tell a compelling story despite having a simplistic combat system.
So first of all, they don't.
Yeah, but that aside, it's just.
And second of all,
what he means with simplistic is the turn-based element.
Sure, but yeah, that actually doesn't make a lot of sense, and I think it demonstrates a very peculiar bias. Because now, I think gameplay should inform story. I think gameplay should inform story and vice versa. I think you should try to integrate gameplay and story as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the ability to make your story compelling doesn't rely on your combat being complex.
Final Fantasy has always had Final Fantasy as a series has always had pretty deep combat, even though it's a turn-based. And then they also try to tell a intriguing story. Hasn't always worked, but they've tried. So I mean,
the thing is, his line makes as much sense with the action-based games that he's playing. That how are they telling the story by doing your action gameplay? It's just
I wouldn't say the Final Fantasy games have simple gameplay mechanics. I think up to 5, like you have a job class system, which is really complicated, and there's a skill class system in 9, and 8 is retarded, and 10 is whatever. Like there's lots of stuff going on, and to say they're simple, or at least 10 is simple, is a little. That's strange, unless he's like a super genius or something. This is easy for me. So maybe all those years of playing Pokemon got to me. He's like realizes that.
He became high IQ.
I don't know. It's kind of.
To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a.
No, I know.
As long as people understand my extremely dated reference.
Anyway.
As long as the reference isn't a certain water Pokemon, then it should be fine.
No, it was a reference. It was a reference to an old
Rick and Morty
copy thing.
All right.
To be fair, you have to have a high IQ to understand Rick and Morty's complex comedy. You see.
Yeah. Anyway,
here's Carlos.
So yeah, that's a very condescending attitude towards the turn-based RPG, turn-based genre. It's still not like I'm still not writing off the whole video because of it. It's still like, unless that one line is what pissed everybody off, I still don't see what was the big deal.
He went from 15 to 10. He didn't talk about any other games so far, so maybe.
Yeah, but even 10 has a relatively
robust. I know it is. It's a good.
It's more robust than 15.
Unless by simplistic he just means turn-based, like. There's not a whole lot of mechanics you have to worry about. Not a lot of you don't need a ton of mechanical skill to play a turn-based game.
I think I think that's it. He is mistaking requiring reflexes and spatial awareness or something for complexity.
Maybe the Lulu limit break is where he goes, whoa, this is really deep.
Yeah. I can only remember the time Smud. I'm looking at the screen and it's like, I can only remember the time Smud talked about the jiggle.
Yeah, that's the whenever Lulu was limit breaking, I was thinking something's happening here, and it's not just the two analog sticks being shaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Can I add something to this?
While you're here,
he's only talking about JRPGs. I thought I was going to hear things about Fallout and all that.
Yeah, we were wondering, we were speculating about that at the beginning, and it is so far only Japanese stuff, and I don't think we're going to hear anything about Western turn-based RPGs.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows that exists.
He did show was it the Stick of Truth? At the beginning?
Yeah, okay. He showed the Stick of Truth a little bit, or whatever the sequel was to, or was
Fractured But Whole.
Yeah, that.
I think that one was Stick of Truth because it was like the warrior. They were wizards and knights.
Okay.
So
I don't play those games, so I wouldn't know.
I never did
but,
because
like,
in Germany you can only get the censored version.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Oh, they have in Australia as well. They had a joke about it. Like it was like they had a koala doing something, so they had to hide they had a direct.
Yeah, it was like a
joke
sad
with them,
koala instead of whatever was actually happening.
Right.
Yeah, there's more stuff that is not in the game, and if I want to buy that on Steam, I would only be allowed to download the German version, and fuck that.
That's why you should sign up for VPN service.
Wasn't one of the character classes in the sequel like Jew or something?
Yes,
It was.
Yeah, because they're superheroes in that one, and I think if I remember correctly, South Park has a Jewish superhero character in it.
Okay, I don't know anything.
I
don't play them because I don't like South Park.
Oh,
I've seen like 2 episodes and it's just not my bag.
Well, the whole...
like we're not seeing anything. There's no Fallout. There's no Divinity. There's no
Wasteland 3,
Pathfinder, Baldur's Gate.
This guy's head would explode if he tried to play a Divinity game.
There's no Shadows of a Bengals. No, nothing. Just 3 games mentioned, and 2 of which he's actually played. As far as I understand, with Final Fantasy and Pokemon.
He's named us exactly 2 turn-based RPGs so far.
Yeah.
Imagine him playing Fallout 1.
Oh my goodness.
That would be interesting.
Well, to be fair, Fallout 1,
to be fair,
good.
You need a pretty high IQ to understand Fallout 1.
It hasn't aged as well as like Fallout 2 has.
Yeah, but he'll probably run out of time though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably.
Funny because considering how short Fallout 1 can be, if you know where you're going, it's an extremely short game. It relies on you not knowing where you need to go for it to be a long game.
Because it's not procedurally generated, so everything's always in the same place.
Yeah, which is outside of a few like the Wild Wasteland things, like the TARDIS. That's a random event.
Yes, the UFO as well.
Yeah, there's some random events that can happen, but like all like locations are in the same place.
Yeah. I remember watching whatever that speedrunner's name is when he did his speed run of the entire series, and Fallout 1 took him like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean it's like with Breath of the Wild as well. You can beat the game in 20 minutes if you know what you're doing. It doesn't.
Less.
Yeah.
Same thing with New Vegas.
Yeah. That's a type of gating that I like, where it's like the gate is only there because you don't know you can just go around it.
Right.
Yeah, but that is something that you only understand once you fully understand the game.
Yeah.
Or someone has shown you the walkthrough of that nonsense break, like in Morrowind, where you just get the super jump magic thing and just zoom around the island to get the things that you need, and then you're also done in a few minutes.
There was also a much less well implemented version of that. Does anyone remember the old Oblivion knockoff 2 Worlds?
I do. I remember 2 Worlds too.
I know the name.
So 2 Worlds you could beat in about 10 minutes, because the final boss, if you knew who he was,
you could just
was
go and
right
kill him.
outside the starting town. Not exactly. So what would happen was, in that game, all of the NPCs, like the town NPCs, were immortal. And the final boss's lair was like right outside, or he showed up as like, you didn't know he was the final boss, but he showed up right outside the starting town. So if you aggroed him and dragged him back to the starting town, and then he hit one of the friendly NPCs, the whole immortal town would just gang up and beat him to death, and you'd win the game.
That's like
that's a very creative way of.
Well, no, in
just get the pitchforks and torches. It's great.
In Far Cry 4, you could beat the game.
Oh yeah. When Pagan Min says, "Just wait here for me while I take care of this," and then if you just wait for him like he asks you to,
Yeah, if you
he comes back and he says, "Okay, sorry about that. Let me show you where to spread your mother's ashes."
And then he takes you in his helicopter to the place you were trying to get to, and then the game just ends. It goes to credits. It's so funny that game only happens because you go and stick your nose into something where you didn't need to.
There's a lesson here.
There is.
And it's funny because.
And if I remember right, it's arguably the happiest ending based on how terrible people the other two people are.
But the other endings are join the commies or join the fascists.
Commies.
Anyway, let's continue. Here's Carlos.
And the best ending is side with the guy in the purple tracksuit.
All right. Carlos says, DMC does the Musou style gameplay with Dark Knight mode. Oh.
DMC, like DMC, or like the For Real V's Devil May Cry series?
I'm assuming it was like DMC.
Like the series or like DMC Devil May Cry?
Yeah, the soft reboot.
Yeah, the reboot.
Doesn't Two Worlds have like a freaking damsel in distress that they didn't know if they want her to be a sister figure or a love interest or whatever?
That might have been Two Worlds 2. I can't remember. I mean, like, don't play Two Worlds. It's trash.
Okay.
It's like Oblivion, but more broken, and not in a fun way.
All right. Here's
Can we
Great
find
Scott.
skooma everywhere?
No.
Here is
You cannot dupe skooma and drink like 10 bottles and move faster than the speed of sound.
Okay.
You can't dupe so much cheese that you'll crash a section of the game.
All right.
Have you ever seen a speed run where that's how they get the Mysterium Artsies?
It's a literal speed run.
Where like they'll just dupe a bunch of skooma and drink like 30 bottles, and then you just like sprint in, grab it, and sprint out. I'm just I always try to imagine that from the perspective of the cultists, where it's like you're just in the middle of your ritual and this guy just blitzes in and steals your book and he's gone before you can react.
Basically, a crack addict just zooms in, grabs your magic book, and runs out. And you're just like, "What the fuck happened?"
Some naked dude hopped up on cocaine.
Some gall on gummy bear juice.
All right.
It kind of happened to me in a role-playing game once.
Oh, you had a super chat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Great Scott. Oh, geez. If this guy tried playing Fallout 1, he definitely wouldn't find Shady Sands and would probably die to the cave rats at the very beginning.
Absolutely. He get critted by the
now
rats.
imagine him playing Fallout 2.
He would be the fucker that goes up to Frank Horgan and shoots him.
Better not.
Yeah.
All right. Carlos was referring to the DMC series as a whole, not the actual DMC game. Okay.
Oh, we've got what? 2 minutes left?
2 minutes.
Let's see.
There we go.
We've had 2 minutes left for like 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's fair.
Okay.
Focus on the story in these games without sacrificing the quality of the game. However, many action-based RPGs tend to tell their story during battles or through the combat. So a lot of the times, developers value the gameplay more than the story.
So do turn-based games.
It really comes to mind how some RPGs, while you fight a boss, a story is still taking place. A conversation is happening between you and the villain. So sometimes it's really hard to pay attention to the story at the same time as fighting the boss. I honestly think that a game that can tell an engaging story...
I actually kind of agree with that. Like if it's one of those things where you're in like a frenetic battle with the boss and there's just like incessant chatter between you, it can make it really hard to focus on what's being said.
Metal Gear Revengeance is a great example.
Metal Gear had that problem. Even the
Revengeance actually didn't do it.
Insomniac Spider-Man had that problem.
Revengeance didn't really have that issue too much because it was mostly just like combat banter. It wasn't like actual like story banter. Like most of the bosses would just have like one line they would repeat. Like for example,
get a load of this.
Yeah, like the guy that's obsessed with Japan. That's he just basically like repeats, "I'm fucking invincible," or Stretchstream Sam would just say
the best guy.
Jetstream Sam would just say clever or very good or let's dance. Like he would just they would have one liners that they would just repeat. They wouldn't have like full conversations.
Yeah.
Same with like
you have in turn-based games you had story if limited and simplistic story advancement in battles at times. Final Fantasy VIII had that, for example, where the fight would just prematurely end, or some character would leave or come into the fight. We have few lines of text that explained what was happening, where someone said a line or something, which is just a text box, of course, or an overtitle, but that is possible in this just as much as in action real-time games.
Yeah. And I do agree that a lot of times in real-time games, it can be easier to, like I said, mix the story and the gameplay. It can be easier. It's not impossible in a turn-based game, but there is like some... There are challenges to trying to integrate the story into the gameplay of a turn-based game, because a lot of times when a game is turn-based, it kind of feels like the combat takes place in an alternate dimension from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what he's saying. I actually, again, besides his kind of condescending attitude, I still don't really see why people don't like this.
Okay.
Condescending
And have a
attitude
complex
could just
but
be enough.
rewarding combat system tend to be the most satisfying, and turn-based RPGs really hit that sweet spot. By now, you should know that my opinion of the turn-based genre has drastically changed. After playing Final Fantasy, I see why so much people enjoy it, and I almost feel bad for the people who have the same mindset I used to have. If you have your doubts about the genre, I would highly recommend you pick up some of the titles I mentioned, with Final Fantasy X being one I would highly recommend.
Okay, so some of the titles you mentioned literally is Final Fantasy X. He hasn't mentioned any. Pokemon and Final Fantasy X are the only turn-based games he's mentioned.
These are the only turn-based games he's played. I bet.
The great many games that he's mentioned: Pokemon.
He's also mentioned Dragon
Final
Quest.
Fantasy.
Oh yeah, he mentioned Dragon Quest and Persona. That's true.
Yeah, but not the one on the screen. That was
okay. If you go and pick up Dragon Quest Heroes 2, you're going to be wondering why he called it a turn-based RPG. That's true.
Well, he flashed Dragon Quest. But he did say he flashed the hero game, but he did say Dragon Quest.
Yes.
So he might have just mistakenly got the wrong image.
Well, no, he never played it. He would have known. He should have known.
Yeah, he probably hasn't actually played.
He just saw Dragon Quest and was like,
he looked up Dragon Quest, and when he made the video, Heroes was probably the newest one.
Probably just got the picture from somewhere and put it there without thinking.
2020. Okay, so the newest one would probably have been Dragon Quest Builders. I don't know why he showed Heroes then.
All right, 1 minute left.
Also recommend the recent Final Fantasy VII remake. It has a mixture of action and turn-based elements where during combat...
No, it doesn't.
Turn-based elements? Where?
He's talking about the menu system when you go to
when you pause to pick a skill, and it doesn't actually pause, it just slows the game down.
That's still not turn-based.
Actually, Dragon Quest 11 would have been newer than Heroes.
I think 2020, the newest would have been Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Yeah, that was pretty popular.
What we can learn from this video is that school does not teach what words mean.
I think it's just his grammar and English levels are not what we would consider essay worthy, like a high school level.
Yeah,
I think at this point we need a Sesame Street for 6 to 12-year-olds.
I don't. I'm not gonna nitpick too hard about his
delivery,
odd word choice. Yeah, that's not. That's not really. I mean, it can. If you use the wrong words, it can undermine your point. But like, that's not something to really get hung up on.
Yeah, but it's what he seems to understand as turn-based is just a pausable game.
Oh yeah, that I disagree with, but that's that
or a slow down game or something.
It's coming from it's him using the Western like game dev, like RPG means it shows stats and that's about it. Like he's not seeing what, especially for JRPGs, when they also say RPG, they mean role as in taking on a role.
Yeah.
Be it tank, healer, DPS, or taking on the role of a character.
That's combat role.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is when they say role, that's what they mean for a JRPG. They don't mean like a D&D style class.
Yeah, where you're playing a character.
Yeah.
As opposed to
your role is the character in the universe, not your own personal character.
Not the class.
All right. Okay.
Slow on the and execute commands for you and your teammates. It also gives you the ability to switch between different characters mid-fight and use them for different situations. And if you want to invest your time into a story-driven game, I would highly recommend Persona 5 Royal Edition. I recently just bought the game, and it literally just came in a couple hours ago, and I'm looking forward to playing it. I heard so many...
You haven't even played it yourself?
Recommending a game you have not played is questionable. Now, I will say...
He's just making this video after he's played these 2 games and is telling us, turn-based things are actually not shit.
I mean, I will say, play Persona 5 Royal, but I'm saying that as someone who has played it.
Yes, this is again, like with me saying yes, play Final Fantasy 14. It's good, but I could not say that if it was, I had never touched the game before.
I mean, you could. I just wouldn't believe you. Like, I wouldn't trust your opinion on it.
I'd say don't play Bug Fables, and I say that knowing I did play Bug Fables.
Well, yeah, because it's better to play a game to know that whether or not it's worth playing. Bug Fables, I've heard, is like Paper Mario knockoff. And I don't know if that's good or not, because I like Paper Mario a lot.
Okay, let's put things like this. Do you want to play Danger Mario?
Danger Mario?
You know the Danger Mario setup?
No.
Well, it's basically where you max up on badge points as much as possible.
Badge points?
Yeah, badge points in Paper Mario.
In which Paper Mario?
First one or second one, either one. But second one, you got a lot more power with a lot of the badges.
Okay, it's been a long time since I played Paper Mario.
Let me double check how the Danger Mario setup goes again. Let's see, Danger Mario. Single restriction, full playthrough challenge in Paper Mario. Restrict your match HP to 5 as early as possible. Only upgrade flower points or badge points. Do not exceed level 18. Have multiple Power Rush badges, which can be attained at Piano Parlor. This makes Mario virtually invincible and able to end any fight in one turn. Yeah, that's how you play Danger Mario.
Oh,
so it's a self-imposed challenge.
It's not a challenge, but there's Bug Fables.
It is. You just described it as a self-imposed challenge.
It's not a self-imposed challenge.
No, it's I'm looking at the Paper Mario challenge page, and it says because of the ability to equip a bunch of Power Rush badges, it makes the game easier than just playing normally.
Yeah,
because you can win any fight in one turn.
Anyways, Bug Fables, the only build in that game that's worth using is the Danger B, essentially. It's just brutal. It's just not as fun as Paper Mario because it's more brutal than Paper Mario. Paper Mario is more fun with the adventure and the turn-based combat. It's a mixture of both. But it just feels like Paper Mario but without the soul in it.
Or like recent Paper Marios then from what I've heard. Because everyone just keep going, why do they keep making Paper Mario?
No, there's lots of great reasons to play those. Even Super Mario RPG, I mean, that was beloved, and they only made one, I believe. And
Paper Mario RPG or Super Paper Mario was really good.
Yeah. So there's fans for like, it doesn't matter if it's the Mario franchise, but people might play just because of that. But they actually developed a very good game with that title at least. So aside from the Bowser's critical hit, or what was it? Not critical hit. The quick time event of his spike spin hammer throw thing. Pretty much the problems would happen with Pokemon, the Pikachu lightning epilepsy attack. That's pretty much
epilepsy attack.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens every time you do that timed event or timed quick time event. Either way, we got roughly 40 seconds. Okay.
Many good things about it. Do you enjoy turn-based RPGs, or were you one of those people that were swayed away just from its gameplay? I'd love to know what you guys have to say, so put it down in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation. Anyways, that's going to do it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, and also, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Like I said earlier, I do have a review of Final Fantasy X coming out soon. Hopefully, I can get it out maybe this or next week, but until then, you just have to stay tuned. It's been the folks at Just a Game, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.
All right.
I mean, honestly, that was not.
Why are you so loud?
That was not anywhere near as bad as the ratio would suggest.
Yeah.
I think it's just a mixture of problems with the video.
The autism in the chat was worse than the actual video. I'm kind of impressed.
Alrighty.
So his whole problem was just that he was prejudiced against the games for no reason.
Yeah.
Wisp, have you ever seen a mirror in your life?
But good on him for, changing his mind after he started playing him.
Okay.
Halfway through the stream, you were shitting on, what are they called, warrior titles.
Yeah, I've played the Warriors games, and after playing too much of it, I just come to the realization I don't want any of this shit anymore. So why would I want to play a new one? Why would I want to spend money on that?
Fair.
Okay, here is...
So his Final Fantasy X review never came out.
Oh, really? How about Persona 5? Did he
I don't see anything there either.
Oh, that's so sad. Ouch.
His next video after this one, which has 300 views, was called The War on Video Games, Sexism.
Interesting. Okay. Anyway, here we have the meme times. So we got Legacy giving us his childhood turn-based RPGs on the Nintendo DS. And that's Dragon Quest 9. Okay. Then we have Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. What? What is that? I've never heard of that.
It's Mario and Luigi was a series.
Yeah, it was a turn-based RPG, and it's actually really good.
GBA, finished on the 3DS.
I remember the gameplay.
Yeah, the Mario and Luigi games are actually they're really funny. Like they're legitimately funny games, and they're also just fun RPGs.
So Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans was also a turn-based?
Yeah, there were a handful of turn-based Dragon Ball RPGs on the Game Boy and the DS. It was very strange.
Here is Digimon Story is a great example of a modern RPG using the older elements along with modern elements to make a really fun game. People just need to expand their tastes and maybe they won't be depressed and shit.
Yeah, the Cyber Sleuth games are really good. And the good thing about all the Digimon games is you don't need to know anything about Digimon to play them because they're all self-contained.
Yeah.
The Hacker's Memory, which is the top part of the image, and then Cyber Sleuth is the bottom image. They take place at the same time, but they're separate stories.
All right. Here's another great series of images, not memes, but from Legacy. If anyone is nostalgic for Flash games, here's Sunny 1 and 2, where you play a zombie as the main character. They're pretty fun RPG games with unique skill trees, an interesting world and story, but it's pretty challenging. I remember playing both. I like the first one better, actually.
I actually remember Epic Battle Fantasy when it comes to Flash RPGs.
Yep. I remember them too. But Sunny was really good. The first one was really good. The sequel was not... The gameplay was not as diverse.
Tonight?
Not as diverse.
I do want to say why I think the dislike ratio was pretty bad on the video. It's probably a mixture of the audio quality, the fact that this person sounded like he was making a rash judgment on RPGs, because he's talked about liking Pokemon and then disliking disliking Turn RPG when he went to a different when he went to play Final Fantasy 15 and calling it his true introduction to it. And it probably didn't help that he was talking about games that he didn't play for most of his examples. It's one thing if it'd be just one or two, but I think it was probably most of his examples. And mentioning Heroes as a Dragon Quest game probably didn't help.
Yeah. Okay, this is from, let me see. Oh, it's from Good Dragon. Playing Sonic 1 on the Genesis, playing Sonic 1 on mobile, playing Sonic 1 on an emulator, and playing Sonic 1 on the Genesis on mobile on an emulator. What?
What about Sonic on the Game Boy Advance?
We don't talk about that one.
Debates
What about
for definition.
the turn-based RPG version of Sonic?
You mean a good one?
Does anybody remember that?
No.
Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood for the Nintendo DS.
I do. It was
Developed
garbage.
by BioWare.
We don't remember that one at all.
It was a game that existed.
It was garbage, like most of BioWare's games.
Anyway, here's who's this from? Good Dragon again. Either you die a hero or you get bored enough to see yourself become the villain.
I mean,
that is the Bethesda game experience.
Yeah, I can kill anyone.
Speaking of which, I gotta move into Camp Golf.
Oh.
I'm not started with the NCR.
Okay. Mateus is giving us a 7 people in the panel. We broke the rules. Okay.
We have a rule?
We make the rules.
Another from Good Dragon. As weird as some of the teams are in Diamond and Pearl, it's pretty cool that Cynthia still managed to have a well-balanced team and one clear standout Pokemon as her ace, rather than whether the hell the Johto region was doing.
Well, to be fair, Cynthia never claimed to be a one-type champion, while Lance,
was a dragon trainer.
And there were only 3 dragon Pokemon in
Cynthia's
in the
Pokemon
original
also
series.
had perfect IVs, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did.
Mark, here we go. They are rage brutal without mercy, but you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done. What?
It's a Doom intro.
This is Dune?
Doom.
Oh, Doom. I was like, what?
It's not Doom.
What the hell am I looking at? Like, what is this? What is this image of?
I have no idea.
Yeah, same here. Neither do I.
Very obscure, Mark. Good Dragon. Here's a video. Looks very small. Play it.
I think it was just when we were arguing.
Yeah, just screaming in fire. Yeah. What really killed Charles Xavier? What the?
It's a Heracross.
Oh, okay, it's a Pokemon, all right.
Oh,
Heracross was a bug Pokemon that had a move called Megahorn, which was
strong too,
like 120 power bug move, and it
Oh,
could
I get it,
one-shot
'cause he's
almost
a
any
psychic
psychic
type.
in the game.
And they made him part fighting.
Most people projected his message. To be considered a turn-based RPG, it needs to pause between attacks. Shut up. They hated Jesus because he told them the truth.
Yep.
I love
That's
that.
right.
Okay. Pokemon.
That is pretty good.
Final Fantasy. XCOM. Shin Megami Tensei. Okay. I see where you're going there. Wizardry 4? No. I don't think
I've never played the Wizardry series.
Yeah, that's a rough.
And neither have I.
It's hard. Meta Knights were mentioned, so here you go. Thanks, I think. Just beating on...
Yes, that is Meta Knight.
Yeah. being on Kirby. More Meta Knight with what the? This is just
Yeah, you know
how top tier Smash play looks.
oh.
Yeah, apparently the best Smash game ever made, Brawl, which that's the every fight. It's just two people dashing in place until someone's finger slips off the joystick and the other person goes in for the kill. Oh yeah, that's a real fun fighting game.
Mike Testa showing off the wonderful Mennonite Meta Knights. Okay.
Well, to be fair, a lot of fighting games are more intense, and any small mess up can get you killed.
Oh, okay.
Oh god, have you seen top tier pro game Dungeon Keeper 2 pro gaming? It's just throwing Dark Knights at each other en masse. Picking them up again and throwing them down again, and picking them up again and throwing them down. Oh god.
I'm not
It's
sure.
like at the top level, it's just that many games are just broken. They're not meant for that. They're not optimized for that sort of play.
Game Boy Advance Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis? What the? I'm confused, but thanks, Mike.
Oh, that one is
I think it's
notoriously
supposed
horrible.
I think what it was supposed to be was like a port of the Sega Genesis Sonic, but they just did that for some reason. They just reused the Genesis box art and then just slapped the Game Boy Advance art, which, to be fair, that sounds like something Sega would do.
Here is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, licensed by Nintendo with the Sega logo. Okay.
Oh, speaking of RPGs, apparently there's a new patch for. Has anyone heard the Princess Maker series?
Yes.
Whoa.
Either there's a project for a Princess Maker 4 to get English patch, or there's one in develop, or they're already done with it right now. Reason why I say that is because I just got the notification.
All right. Well, hopefully you can tell us and get it. Check it out. Oh boy, that was 2 hours and a half of us rambling on about random games unrelated to the topic, and maybe 10% of it was actually.
And the Amish.
And Pokemon.
Yes.
And the Mennonites.
I mean, to be fair, there wasn't much in the guy's video.
Well, yeah.
Oh Jesus!
That's fine.
The fucking the Chad meme, Jesus, that's something.
Yeah, I don't know
It's
what
just,
to make
Like,
of that.
what was? I'm still curious as to like what caused it to be so disliked.
Because no
'Cause
one
I mean,
watched it past a minute.
I think people got as far as turn-based games are boring, and that was it.
Yeah, and of course it's going to be.
The editing turn away.
Yeah,
I mean,
the sound and editing.
It'd probably just be a mixture of things.
The entire presentation was garbage, to be honest, but the actual video wasn't as bad as I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks.
Yeah,
well,
I mean it's just some guy getting to know. Oh, there's other genres are actually okay that I thought were shit.
It's nothing special. If you want an actual discussion or analysis of game engines and game systems and mechanics and all the stats, like that would take a lot of effort and research. So for 7 minutes, yeah, I'm fine with that. It's no big deal.
I apologize if I was in a bit of a tangent today or interrupting people. I wasn't trying to.
Well, there's a lot of people on the panel, so that's going to happen whether we like it or not. So that's okay.
It is inevitable.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry for being late.
Don't worry about it. Again, we've been waiting for this video for 2 days, and we finally got it. So good stuff. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow, if we're even having one, but I see nothing wrong with it. But it's up to you guys. If you want to keep voting, go right ahead. I haven't checked the vote lately, so I don't know what's currently winning. We might need to have another vote. But
I'll keep suggesting that what happened to Rhythm Thief over and over till I finally get it.
Okay. Anyway, thank you guys. That was actually not bad. I like these little discussions as strange and random as they were.
I'm sorry. I completely forgot about one RPG that I freaking love, Skies of Arcadia.
Right.
I hear the remake isn't great.
There
Or
was
the
supposed to
re-release.
be a freaking sequel to it, but Sega can't bother to make a sequel to anything. And it just makes me mad.
Yes, same with me with Alpha Protocol. Hasn't ever and will never happen. So, anyway, thank you so much, guys. Keep the suggestions coming. Keep the voting going. Hopefully we'll see you soon, but have yourself a great evening. Take it easy. Good night. Bye-bye.
Night.
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 And we didn't kill each other. Yay!
Yeah.